We are live. Sorry about that. We've had some technical difficulties. Sarah and I both were having some laptop issues, but it is what it is. That is YouTube, and it's fun. So tonight, joining us, we have, in order of appearance, we have this way, Better Biatches, aka Minka. We have Ryan, Radical Coder. We have Kings and Dreams, and then we have Todd Allen, Infinite Growth TV. So what we're talking about tonight is dating through the decades. And Sarah, did you kind of want to give us a quick synopsis of what this is going to be about? The Raging Tomato. Love your costume, by the way. We can't hear you, Sarah. You are
shit, I forgot. I said, no, I'm the blushing tomato tonight. This is going to get really hot real fast. I might lose it pretty quick. No, so we're going to talk about, dating throughout the different age groups. We're going from 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and up. And then the different life scenarios that can affect your dating life, such as, divorces, having kids, not wanting kids, or, the idea that you wait until you're 40 and then still don't have kids, and how people feel about that. So that's a little gist of what we're going to go through, and how people feel about it, and whether they prefer one or the other, or hate all of the age ranges and things of that nature.
All right. So moving on, Ryan, explain to us your age and your just brief, like maybe under 60 seconds synopsis of your dating experience so far and how this pertains to you.
Sure. So I just turned 30 years old last month. I've been dating since I was like 18 is when I probably say most of my real relationships were. My first real relationship I dated for a year and a half. So I've had a lot of couple year long relationships. And I've also I dated a lot kind of casually throughout college. I had a lot of friends who were I had a lot of friends of men and women, and some of those friendships blossomed into more romantic situations, and others not so much. And I still value both of those, and those are the kind of things that I try to encourage in more people, just focusing on meeting people of various genders and just getting to know them, and I think it works out better.
I love that. All right, Todd Allen, aka
Yes.
Growth TV, explain to us kind of your standpoint, your age, your dating experience, and where you fit into all of this.
Okay. Well, I will be 60 years old on the 5th of November. And my dating experiences is I was that dude. I have a lot of experience in dating, and I've also I'm married now, but I've had several failed marriages prior to this successful one. So I have a plethora of experiences in relationships, and I've actually learned a lot from my past mistakes. So.
All right, wonderful. Sorry, didn't mean to highlight you there, Googs.
That was my fault. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. And then Kings and Dreams, go ahead with your age, your dating experience, and where you fit into all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And so my age, I'm 37. I will be 38 in February. And so my dating experience is that I've been dating since probably about 14, 15 years old. And, kind of to piggyback off of what Todd was saying, I was that dude. And now that I am in my late 30s, I would prefer something serious. But if I see that it's something I can have fun with, I will have fun with. I'm a red-blooded male, and that's just that.
All right. Cougs Johnson, welcome to the stream. Tell us your story, age, where you fit into all of this, etc.
Hey, what's up, Ashley? So I'm definitely the dinosaur of the group. I'm 47 years old, so I've been dating since the 1800s, and so I have quite a bit of experience. Been dating since I had a phone where you dialed it with your fingers, which it's quite a story. So I've been through the whole 3 decades now, and so a lot of interesting takes probably.
Awesome. Minka, are you there? Or
Yeah, I'm here, hun. Can you hear me? Hello? Yeah, you can.
Yes. Ashley dropped off, but we can hear you, but we
Oh,
can't see you.
that's okay. I have my camera off. I'm still finishing up some work. So my name is Minka, from Better Bitches. I'm 31 years old. You wanted to know my dating history, right?
my apologies, I got kicked out of the studio. Yeah, I wanted to know kind of your age, your dating history, and where you fit into today's dating market, so to speak.
So that was my age 31. My dating history, I've been more of a long-term relationship girl. And then I don't really know where I fit in right now.
When
I've learned a lot in this place, this manosphere, any which way you go about it. So I am not actively dating currently, but when I do, I'm really looking for those flags. And a lot of the stuff that these men have talked about has like given me a huge perspective where now I feel like I'm in an advantage, whereas most women don't bring as much to the table. They're not also like appreciating them, things like that.
is who is actually like how to go about dating, so to speak. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So like, I mean, we'll continue talking about it, but the basis of it is like there's a lot of entitlement from women. I'm in LA, so they don't even, when I thank a guy for dinner, it's like I just gave him a kiss or something, and they're not used to it. So that's like the sad part.
Okay. I feel you.
Wait, quick
All right.
question. Sorry, can I ask a quick question? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject there.
Go ahead.
Okay, so all right. So when you say that you give a guy a kiss he's not used to it, can you just like
No.
expound on that?
I was using that as a way to exemplify their shock and like appreciation
Okay.
for me just saying simply thank you so much for dinner. I really had a good time. Apparently a lot of women don't thank them anymore.
Okay. Understood. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, while Ashley's trying to figure things out,
I was gonna say, I can go ahead and say some of my dating history too.
yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sarah.
You know, I'm 35 years old. I did some minor dating between 18, 19, 20. I got pregnant when I turned 21, so my dating life changed very, very quickly by 22. And then I dated more sporadically, not quite as often, not quite as many people. And if I was dating, it was more for a purpose generally. And then I ended up getting married. And, now that I've just recently gone onto the market,
The market. The tomato.
I can say it's not been the most pleasant or appealing to me. So, yeah.
All right, Sarah, did you want to go ahead and play your video here?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. I hope that I don't get feedback between the two devices. If something's going wrong, let me know. Scream out loud, okay? Never done it this way before.
Me too. Sarah, there's no sound. Guys, sorry. Like we're both streaming from different places or different devices tonight, so it's been a little bit of a dilemma. My laptop still won't even power up. But anyway. All right. So
No worries.
okay.
You're doing great.
Yeah, don't worry about it, ladies. Take your time.
Shit happens, So I will say that for me, I think most people know that I'm divorced on almost 5 years now. I've dated a couple guys, but really only seriously want, and nothing's come of it. And yeah, for me, I could kind of agree with most people that like on this stream anyway, that it's just kind of what it is, you know, like I don't know, you kind of have to roll with the punches, so to speak. Do you have the sound hooked up now, Sarah?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Hey, Sarah, when you playing it, you're gonna have to mute yourself because it's gonna come in with an echo. Just a heads up.
Still no sound, Sarah. I don't know, man.
All right, fuck it.
We're in the matrix. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you're listening to us from the toilet. That's wonderful. Always appreciated, you know, always. All right. Anyway, so I would like to hear from Better Biatches. Better Biatches, tell us now, like, your last serious relationship, that experience, and then going forward from there, like, what do you see for yourself in the future as far as the dating market goes?
So I'm a little bit slow today, so I might like re-ask you the question you're questioning me. My last serious relationship was probably like 3 years ago, I want to say. 2
And
or
you-
3 years ago.
Yeah,
And what?
you're 30 years old.
31. Yep.
One. So
And-
3 years ago.
Yeah, and what else do you want to know? Where I'm at now? Or what
Yeah,
it was like?
kind of a little bit of your experience of how that relationship was, how long ago it was, how long did it last, why did it end, and your perspective on dating as a 28, 29, 30, 31-year-old woman without kids, not been married.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a whole mouthful. So, that last relationship was decent, but when it came time to talking about marriage and stuff, it was really non-committal, like struggle bus kind of deal.
Okay.
And so we ended it for that reason. You know, but I did learn a lot, and I think my ex learned a lot too on like what we like, what we don't like. One of the things that I think especially I learned was like prioritizing finding someone that you would, at least for me, like even now where I currently am, I prefer to look at someone if I'm interested in them. Could I see this man being the father of my children, as opposed to could I see myself living the rest of my life with this man? Because the reality is, what I'm looking for is a partner with the same morals, the same values, religious beliefs, all of that stuff, because then you have a lot less complications later on. Life is already complicated as it is. If you have someone with a lot more similarities, I think it'll be something that you can work on. As a Hispanic, I really don't want to get married to get divorced. So that's like kind of like ingrained in our DNA, which, you know, I think is a good thing. I think what I'm looking for now is really someone either equal or at a higher place in life, whether it's that it's not just like financially or socially and stuff. It's also like what I really look for is emotional intelligence. Like,
Yeah.
how emotionally intelligent are you to pick up on things, to understand things, to be able to say how you feel, to tell me when I'm not making you feel safe, to tell me when I'm lacking in some aspect and I can be better. And a lot of times, if we don't have the emotional intelligence to be aware of it, then we don't have the capacity to even speak up for ourselves, or let alone for others. I think that's pretty much it. It's hard in LA, I'll say that. Like, I think I've talked to a couple guys on this panel that it's just like I was like a daddy's girl. My mom was very much like an independent woman. So like I've started several businesses. I know how to do some work on my car, change my oil, change my tire.
Nice.
And like when I look at my experience with my ex, he didn't know how to change a tire. He asked me what certain tools were. He was a city boy, and so am I. But like, I actually think I was like talking to Kings about this, where it's like one of the first things I look at when I'm on a date is if the man is okay with me being the one that sees everything, like if we're sitting down at a table and his back is to everyone and I'm facing everyone, that's like a red flag for me right off of the bat, because you're not aware of your surroundings. You're not being that protective man. And
Yeah.
like, there's also like the other aspect of when we're walking on the street, I literally cannot tell you the last time a man was walking on the correct side, which was the outer side, while I was walking on the inside. They don't correct it. So those are like right off the bat. It's just, I'm a little more traditional. So like, I
That's
cook, I
all-
clean, huh?
I said I don't think that's necessarily traditional. I think that's, well, I guess
Some
traditional.
Some people might see it that way, but it's
It's more of a protective, like, characteristic, you know.
Fucking love the
yeah,
Can I,
but it's
can I
also
ask you a
like,
question?
yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead.
ask you a question, please? You said that you're a Latina. What Latin American country are you most associated with?
Minka,
Mex-
come up at some point. Do you mind?
No, I will, but like I said, I'm just finishing up
Yeah.
some work first, but I
Okay.
will be camming up a little bit later.
Okay.
I'm primarily associate with Mexican because I'm in LA, and
Okay.
that's the only family that I really have here is the Mexican side.
Okay, nice.
Does the other?
I guess I was
I'm
going to
waiting
add
for a follow up
the-
to that.
Yeah.
the walking on the side of the road is this is like a practical thing, right? Also, like for like based on what side, it's not. I mean, like it's traditional because it has like a practical use, right? Like as a
Well, yeah,
protective measure.
Exactly. And like and I say this because, and I want to say this because the big issue that I keep seeing with, it's both men and women. Men, there's a lot of men that say she's got to be in the kitchen and do blah 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 blah, but they're not good leaders, but they lie and manipulate and they are not trustworthy, but they don't have a good job and they're not able to be providers. And then you have the women on the other side that say, well, I deserve a 6 foot tall millionaire, but they don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean. They don't know how to be nurturing. They don't know how to be supportive. I mean, I met a girl last night that she was saying, oh, you know how to cook? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I don't. I just order. I'm like, oh, shit. You know, it's like a level of entitlement that I'm like, damn. So I'm not expecting these things without also in the back of my mind thinking of what can I bring to the table.
Well, like growing up for me personally, my dad did all the cooking and my stepmom did not. But I felt like they still kind of balanced the household. Again, I had a fucked up family behind the scenes, but as far as all the traditional function things,
Well-
I grew up not. I mean, I can cook. I loved it. I cooked with my dad, but I'm just saying I grew up in a household where it was like not necessarily my mom that did all of that. I wonder, what is your take on traditional roles, Todd? What do you think on that?
Well, I think we have to define traditional because, under our current society, it's a move. The goalpost moves all the time. So, what I would have thought of as being traditional back when I was in my 20s, now that I'm approaching 60, the goalpost has changed in terms of definitions of words. And so I certainly understand what the young lady was saying when she's talking about her culture. And I think that a lot of times when we're talking about traditional dating, we have to go to what our baseline culture says, what is correct or what isn't, or basically what our baseline beliefs say what is traditional. I'm of the mindset that a man needs to be a leader. He needs to be the high priest of his home. And so he has to take responsibility. And it doesn't mean that he has to, quote unquote, make more money than everybody in the household. But I think that he has to at least have the heart or the mindset to want to lead. But leadership doesn't mean that you lead with an iron fist or iron stick. Leadership means that you lead with an open heart.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Well,
Ryan, younger gentleman, what do you think about what he just said?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that role is an important one to be filled, but I don't think it necessarily always has to be filled by the man or even by one person in the relationship. I think it seems like letting each other lead, and I like what you said about leading with an open heart. I really like that phrasing of it. And I feel like when two people see themselves leading their situations together, like and collaborating. Like that's probably like an ideal situation. And for me, I really like cooking, and I clean and stuff, and I prefer to have someone who also can contribute or like, contributes in those ways, and is also doing their own thing to a lot of degrees. So I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah. Cougs, well, how about you?
Well, just to go back to something Better Biatch said, she said that, she's never seen a guy do some of those things like walk on the correct side of the sidewalk.
Sorry, I
And-
just want to clarify. I have seen it. It's just the guys that I've dated in the last like couple years. I haven't seen it again. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, in general, then that's a better way to say it. It's interesting you said that, because I think that my generation was probably one of the last generations where some of that stuff was really ingrained into you when you were like a teenager, whether it was from your father or from school. I mean, I remember talking in depth with people, back in high school on just dating etiquette and how to do it. It was almost like you took a course on some of those things. And by doing that, I don't even think about that. That just comes naturally. Like it's just ingrained. And so it's interesting you brought that up, because I forgot that kind of goes on now, because I'm just, not used to, I mean, I wouldn't even think, right? That's just something you do. And
Right.
so it would be nice if, we could communicate more between the generations, because I think there's a lot we can learn from each other. And so that's a great concept. I mean, I think if those things just came back, I think a lot of the feminists that everybody complains about would probably calm down a lot, right? They'd have less to complain about.
I don't know. They might find something.
What do you
Maybe.
What do you think about that concept?
I'm sorry, who's that?
Sorry, I
Brett?
couldn't hear you.
Okay.
Was that me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what I think about that concept is I would agree with more or less of Todd Allen, Infinite Growth TV, is that there does need to be structure and leadership. So, and I don't want to speak for Todd, but I believe that leading with an open heart is saying that it's not a dictatorship, but it is an understanding that that the woman is following the man's lead. However, she can definitely have her opinion. And so there may be some things where the man may not see or may be thinking about, and she can make her suggestions to where it's not, again, like that dictatorship where it's like, it's just my way or the highway. No, not that, but it's like, if you give a suggestion and give me another way to think about things, yeah, I'll consider it. But at the end of the day, the final decision is always going to be the man. But that woman has to trust that man to make that final decision.
I like that. Yeah.
Can I put it in a different way? I think that, I could say that I'm the head of my house, but my wife is the neck that turns the head.
Boom.
Yes, say that.
Yep.
Say that.
All of
That's
us.
it right
Yes.
there. That's it right there.
I like that. All right, Sarah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I started thinking about it in my own, experiences and things. And yeah, ideally with what's been ingrained in you, but also, I wonder about like societal norms too, by way of like what kind of friends do you have? Because you could come from a very traditional family that demands, a girl dating a gentleman and having standards and all of these things. But then there's these other outside influences that can creep in as well. And I kind of am curious about how that would fit into the equation, or how much influence it has or has had on people. Maybe Minka, you have a thought to that. Like, do you think it all comes heavily from your roots, or do you think you've seen a lot of things around you that you know what you don't want? Or like, has the bar just been set so high due to family pressures that you refuse to let any other outside influences make their way in, to change your standards or have different expectations?
Oh, no, that's an ebb and flow all the time. It's social, it's economical. I mean, there's a lot of factors into it. I'm just saying that like my roots were the primary thing of I don't want to get a divorce later. I want to find
Mhm.
someone to make the best possible decision that I can to hopefully lower that percentage of the possibility of getting divorced later. That's all it included when it came to dating. In regards to
Mhm.
my my standards, they're actually pretty basic. I'm not looking for like the multimillionaire, the Fenty and the Bugatti and all that stuff. Like what I'm looking for is a partner, either someone that's more advanced than I am. Like I said, I do have multiple businesses and it's hard, you know, and I don't, if I have someone, I want someone that's either doing the same thing I am, where they have their own businesses as well and we can like vent to each other, whatever. And then, or it's someone that can help me, or someone tells me, like, if I found a man that said, look, I don't want you to work, I'll take care of everything, I'll stop. You know, but it really comes down to, for me, the most important things are financial education, how like financial literacy, if he's literate and he knows how to increase a credit score, because it's going to make me feel like my family will be protected. My kids are going to be not going to be going hungry.
Mhm.
We're going to be able to have a home. I'm going to be able to turn that house into a home. It and like I said, even in the dating part, like I know that idea of like walking on the right side of the street seems to be something that the newer generation doesn't focus on, but it's still something important to me, right?
I
Because I'm the kind of person, I'm like, I'm your ride or die. So the
Mhm.
person that I want to choose is someone that I want to be able to trust, that's going to lead our family in the best direction possible. But that also means that I got the back end. If anything comes at him, if anything, like just anything, I'm supposed to be the support, right? So
Mhm.
again, it's just the manners. How do you treat your family? What's your religion? Do you believe in spanking? Do you believe in only like coddling? Like there's a lot of different factors that I look into, but they're not unreasonable.
Right.
like this.
Now,
Shared responsibility is a necessity when there are two people working to pay the bills. If we are
Exactly.
sharing the same space, make it fair, especially if there are children at home.
Right. And one of the
Totally
best
agree.
things, and like you asked me earlier about my heritage and everything and the way that I grew up, I didn't just pick, oh, this is what my family did, so that's what I'm going to do. I have
Mhm.
phenomenal examples of people that have been married for a long time that, like, one of the best things that I learned from my high school, I had a best friend in high school, and her parents never argued in front of the kids, ever. Even if they disagreed, they would handle it behind closed doors, but they were always a unit when it came in front of the kids. And that's something that I want for my family. That's something that I want to implement that I did not grow up with. So I
Yeah.
picked up a lot of things from this whole thing. Like, I mean, even in this manosphere thing, like when I came in, I really thought a lot of these guys hated women and all these, I had these
Yeah.
these notions, right? One of the biggest things that I've learned is men want to be appreciated and cared for and respected just
Yes.
as much as women.
Yes.
And so like
Mhm.
We
I
just
have to
different love
but
language. We have different languages. We do.
it is, but it isn't. It always comes down to respect. If I'm gonna be upset with my man and I pop off at him in front of people, that's disrespectful. How do you think that man is gonna feel
Same.
looking in front of people?
I'm just saying that I think, on my personal opinion, men and women view love differently. The way that we show that love to someone is different. Like for women, the love languages. Like some of us are acts of kindness, some of us are words of affirmation, some of us are. I think for men, it's more being appreciated as the leader type. For most men, I think it is. And I think for most women, it's just being shown appreciation for. I really do kind of think it goes back to feminine and masculine energies personally. As much as we don't like to say that that's popular nowadays, I think that is still at the root core of it, what men and women appreciate the most.
I totally agree with you, because it's just like earlier you guys were talking about it. My dad is the one that taught me how to cook. He was a chef in the house and he was a chef.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so I was like you, like he taught me how to cook. My mom burned soup one time. Like
Wow.
but I know she's gotten a lot better now, but like back
She
in the
doesn't
day
burn anymore. It's fine.
yeah, now she does well, but like back in the day when I was a kid, a toddler and everything, I was like 5 years old making pasta from scratch with my dad, and my mom was like cleaning and setting the table. So that's when you talk about feminine and masculine energies, it really just pertains to each individual. If a man has more feminine energies and they want to go with a woman, go ahead.
I mean, she's kind of setting the table for him while he's doing the work. That still could be construed as feminine, masculine. And that's-
Right. I think it just depends on each person.
Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I was actually going in that. I was thinking in that direction. Like, I think in terms of how like the masculine, feminine energy, I vibe with that. I mean, I appreciate some feminine energy for sure. But I also I think that like there are so many. I think one of the problems is there are a lot of people who are maybe don't fit those molds, but they're still trying to push themselves into that. Into roles that they don't necessarily like vibe with or don't really like want to be in. And I think that they there's enough people out there and enough individuals that like can fulfill those roles regardless of like a lot of women are better suited to like lead the household, and a lot of men are better suited to be like more submissive around that, I guess. And I don't think that's like a bad thing. I think it's good that we're getting closer to a world where people can like manifest whatever that truth is to them and like how they prefer to live, and like find someone who what's the word who supplements that, right? And they can like work together to do their goals and be happy, you know.
So Ryan, I have a question for you. So you're saying that you think that it's all right for a man to be in a submissive role?
Oh, amen. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Easy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So why do you think that like what would you say would be the benefactors of a man being in a submissive role? I'm just curious, you know.
Well, I guess what are the benefactors of anyone being in a submissive role? Like it'd be the same ones as long as somebody is, you know, like if we have to have these oppositional energies, I guess as long as like one side of that is being fulfilled by one partner, although I don't think it necessarily has to be that rigid even then. Yeah, I guess I'm far less attached to that that expectation, I think. And
I think that's the difference in generations, because
yeah, absolutely.
I hear what you're saying and I appreciate what you're saying, Ryan, but I don't identify with that not one bit.
Sure, I understand.
I mean, that is totally antithetical to my values and my beliefs. And I don't believe, and this is just, again, my opinion, again, it's not to belittle any of your thoughts, but I don't think that a woman wants to be, I don't think that a woman wants to be with a man that's submissive to her. Because I believe that women, unless they're, you know, they have certain sexual tendencies or whatever, I believe that women typically want to have a man to lead them. But I also understand that, you know, only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. I also understand that. And as a man, there's not going to be unconditional love from our spouses or from our significant others. I also want to go back when the young lady said that she's talking about something being fair and shared responsibility. Well, there's two things that were said there. Shared responsibility is one thing, but when you talk about fairness, that's subjective. How do you define what's fair? And Ryan, how do you define a submissive man? I think those things need to be defined. I mean, we hear the words, but how do they really pan out from a definitive perspective? And if a man is submissive, how does that generate comfort and stability in the household from the woman's perspective?
I like that question.
Well, again, I think a lot of it, it feels like to me, if we take like the step back from like the expectation that like men have to fulfill this role in a relationship and women have to fulfill this one, we see that like relationships are more like both people are fulfilling a lot of different like parts of that role at different times. The man could be expressing leadership and making financial decisions, and the woman might be making decisions about like what the kids are doing in school and helping them, or like what after school stuff they're doing. You know, this is more like a traditional viewing, but they're still like taking leadership in different dimensions, right? I don't know if I'm like really replying to your question very well, but
No, I
yeah.
understand. So when you're saying submissive, you're just saying that he will follow the lead of the woman, that if she has certain ideas in terms of the rearing of the children, he would just take a back seat and say, well, yeah, I can agree with that.
Well, I think it would depend. I mean, I think he should be honest. If he does disagree, then I think they should communicate that and like find like where they differ on the like and why. You know, I think that's really important to work through. And hopefully like a relationship is fostering an environment where people can feel comfortable like expressing those concerns with each other and like coming to a decision together, right?
So let me ask you this, and this, this may sound like a weird question. Let's say, for instance, that a man knocks on the door. Do you think that it's okay for the woman to answer the door, or should the man answer the door? And vice versa, if a woman knocks on the door, who should answer?
This is a question to read and kind of answer for you.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on a person's stance. What is the intellect of the person? Who is the dominant and who is the submissive? This is an intellectual decision. What do you think of that, Todd?
Well, I think that, economics is a study of choices. And so everything is based on economics, and everything is really based on commerce in a sense. And so that if a person's saying, okay, well, intellectually, who's submissive, does that mean that the person wants to date someone who's less intellectual than they are? Do they want an intellectual vacuous person?
No, I think, well, that's a good point. Yeah, it's an intellectual decision. So are you saying?
I mean, I'm not going to date someone who's not my intellectual,
Taylor saying,
comparative.
Like the more intellectual being, aka the smarter one, right, is the one that makes those more masculine decisions. That's a good point to bring up. What do you think of that?
I don't necessarily think that the person that's most intellectual, I think that when you're talking about dating in particular and starting a relationship, I mean, I think that if one person believes that they're more intellectual or more smarter than the other person, then they're going to automatically have some level of disrespect and try to control the relationship. So I think that they'll try to
or dominance in the relationship.
Well, and being dominant in that kind of instance can also be considered abuse.
Right.
So
I agree.
I actually wanted to
let's introduce modern Renaissance man. Hello. Good
How you guys
see
doing?
Hi. Did you
How
have
you
something
doing, bro?
to add?
Doing well.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
So the question was, and let's say we're talking about men and women and relationships. So Halo said it depends on a person's stance. Okay, what is the intellect of the person? Who is the dominant and who is the submissive? A lot of times this is an intellectual decision.
I can agree to that to some extent, but when it comes down to it, I think that if a person knows before they go into a relationship what their stance is going to be or what their position is going to be, I think that's going to be something that's going to kind of naturally flow. And I also think that when you say it from an intellectual standpoint, again, when two people come together in a relationship, it's going to be something I think that's going to naturally happen. You can put a bunch of kids together and have them do a certain task, and one of them is going to stand out more than the other one based off of their own natural ability or their own natural skill or talent. So in a relationship, I think it's going to come down to when they come together, it's going to flow out naturally. Now, I've been married 21 years. I have a 20-year-old son, an 18-year-old son. And when we got into our relationship, I guess me, because the person that I am, I had it to where I knew I was going to be taking care of my family. I knew that I was going to be leading my family. I knew that I was going to be making sure that my family was protected. I knew that I was going to do everything that I possibly can to make sure that they were going to be in a good place, right? So one thing that I hear a lot, and I think it's kind of weird, is when I hear people say things like masculinity depends on a person's intellect. I wouldn't say that, because you can be masculine in your relationship and not be smarter than necessarily your wife, or vice versa. You might be
Exactly talking about masculinity, we're talking about dominance in the relationship. So are you saying that you associate dominance with masculinity?
Yes.
And
It's hard not to. I feel like it's hard not to.
Yeah. Yes, to an extent, because I think those almost go hand in hand to me. You know, dominance and masculinity kind of go hand in hand a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to add on to. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ashley. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go. I
Okay.
talk on this shit.
Yeah, but this is your platform, so it's all good. But
All
yeah,
good.
so what I wanted to say to the conversation, specifically to you, Ryan, and I don't want you to think I'm just picking on you, but it's
You're good,
just
man.
more or less of what you were saying, right? Because the thing about it is this, right? So a man is in a relationship with a woman, and let's just say that you have someone that's trying to break into the house. Now, would that make sense for the woman to check to see who the intruder is, or the man?
I have done that night with a handgun and checked myself.
Yeah, I would say it depends. I mean,
but
like,
that's you.
But if my husband had been home, I would have definitely rather he did it.
Right.
I imagine
Exactly.
that's probably the case most of the time. But I definitely know women in my own life who I would rather be there, like out, like than maybe their husbands, I don't know. So I think that there's more room for people to take on those different roles, but I think someone should be I think protection of the house is important. It could be even both parties, which I've also that's very close to home for me. So
Interesting. See, for me, it's usually been one or the other.
Yeah.
It's always like a balance, or an outbalance. Like one of you is more dominant, more apt to be the one that gets all the night's check, or that goes to, I don't want to go to the mailbox in the middle of the night. Like you go do it. You know what I mean? Like something like that. So that's interesting to hear. Yeah.
Like I said, again,
there is a difference between being dominant and being domineering, just so folks don't get it confused.
Right. I was going to say to that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kings.
Oh no, I was just gonna say shout out to my man Tobias, the traveler, who's tapping in, checking this out. That's my guy right there.
Hello, Tobias. Thank you for coming over.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did an interview with him this past Tuesday on my channel. But so I agree with that. There is there's a difference between being dominant and domineering, right? So like, now, domineering is just basically saying like my way or the highway, but dominant is the fact of, kind of going back to what Todd has said, you lead with an open heart, which means that you are open to suggestions, but, the man is going to make that final decision. However, that woman has to be able to trust that man in order to make that final decision. And I think that is lost in translation with dating nowadays, because everything is such in a microwave age, and then you have some men that just want to be alpha. But what have you done as a man to be proven as alpha? You have to show that you are alpha, not just say I'm alpha. So
this is a good comment that kind of piggybacks off of that, Kings, is that I think men in the past wanted to lay down their lives for women and children, but for the valor and the recognition that comes with being a hero. But now there's no recognition, so men don't care.
Right. And you know what? What's funny about this whole deal is that I think one of the things that people seem to get away from, and I think it's something that can be it's actually quite simple if you look at it just from a natural, physiological, and psychological standpoint. With your children, if something was to go down and you needed protection, will your child say, I'm going to go and get my daddy, or do they say, I'm going to go and get my mommy?
Correct.
Most of the time, they can even recognize that. And as far as like you guys making a comment about knocking on the door, I'm getting up. I don't care who it is. I don't care who's knocking at the door. If somebody is knocking at my door, I have two sons. Again, I mentioned there's 20 and 18 years old. One is 6'4", 300 some pounds. The other one's 6 feet, 200 some pounds. Till this day, when somebody knocks on my door, Daddy, I'm like, y'all can go answer it, Right. But I'm saying that because it's not, even though they're
about this,
because they know that you're the leader of the household.
And on top of that, even though one of them is taller and
I want to hear from Cougs real quick. What do you think about this? I feel like you're the protective type, is why I asked.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I have a couple of comments. Number one is, I wish I had this study on me. It was like 10 years ago, and I wanted to go back a couple steps. It was part of the first part of this topic. And I read this study, and at the time I had met someone I thought I was the woman of my dreams. And I found this study, and they were trying to figure out what makes some of these phenomenal lifelong relationships, like people that are married 50 years, that all their friends think, wow, that's the ideal relationship, we want to replicate. And the study said that all the relationships they found in this study were all within 1 to 6 IQ points of each other. So the intelligence gap was, pretty narrow. They were pretty compatible in that aspect. Another component was there was still masculine energy and feminine energy. And something I wanted to add to that, because my aunt was talking to me in the kitchen one time, and she handed me a jar and had me open it. Well, she could have probably opened the jar. And then she said, I was younger at the time, right? I was a teenager. And she said, a smart woman knows not to open all the jars. I know it's a simple topic, but man, it feels good as a man just when you're needed, right? Like, open this jar. Things like that are just smart women just know how to make a man feel needed and masculine.
So Minka had something to add to this. Better be out.
Yeah, and so that's what I was saying earlier about the masculine feminine energy and like what men provide versus what, at least from my own personal experience, of what I want to provide in a relationship. But the big factor is, like I said earlier, if you're focused, because you guys are talking about the leadership, who's leading the house, who's submitting and all that stuff. If you find the partner that best fits with what you would like in your family dynamic, whether it's religion, all of that stuff, the IQ, the emotional intelligence, at the end of the day, no matter what argument happens, if I'm hypothetically, I have a husband, King, we'll say you're my husband, right? Hypothetically, hypothetically, regardless of how I feel or how he feels, we are both going to still do what's best for the family. So if King says, I want my kids to go to a private school, and I keep saying I really want them to go to a public school, at the end of the day, we're going to do what's best for them, and I'm going to follow his lead. So that's what I was trying to say earlier, of like, there's a really big portion of this that we're discussing, what happens in arguments. If you find the person that best matches what you want for your family dynamics, you're not going to have as many. You're going to be able to follow that person.
Yep.
I like this comment. Grace Thorpe said, men call me a masculine woman. I can see their point, but I don't think I'm masculine at all. I just think some men have a ridiculous cartoon version of women as weak little flowers in their head. What
I
do you?
can 100% agree with that so much.
There's a lot to that.
I have so much to say.
Sorry, Sarah had something to say to that.
Yeah, so Grace, I 100% agree with you, and I get told that a lot. I'm a very strong-willed, very self-sufficient, very big go-getter. There's nothing I can open my own jar, okay? Now I do understand allowing a spouse to do certain things for you to make them feel better. I have done those acts, like, oh, can you carry all of...
We just admire your costume. Can everybody please get a look at Sarah? Please stand up for the audience. Let us see. The Raging Tomato, everybody.
Hey, Ashley, put her on the solo cam.
Oh shit! I only accidentally do that. Here we go. You ready, Sarah?
Okay. Yep.
Get it.
It's the tomato dance.
All right. Okay. Anyways, your thoughts.
Yeah. So I will kind of whimper down a little bit when I know I need to make somebody like a man feel like he's the strong one or things like that. But there's
open the pickle jars.
I open my own tomato jars.
I bet you
all
do.
that tomato sauce, baby. I got you. I mean, I hear that so much, and I think a lot of it gets confused with masculine and also intimidation. A lot of people say that to me too, like, oh, well, I'm just intimidated by you, and I'm like, well, what the fuck is that? Like, that just because I'm a strong mental, physical person, does that mean that you can't be stronger than me? And if so, like, why are you so insecure with yourself to think, oh, well, she's too strong for me, or she's too
goes back
capable?
Milo's comment where she said, "Is it more intellectual or is it actually masculine or feminine?"
Right.
That's why I said that's a very interesting point of view.
Well,
Yeah.
I think when we go back to leadership is also understanding the talents and the mentality of the people on your team. For example, as the husband of my wife, I also have to recognize her strengths and her weaknesses. And I also have to recognize when she needs certain types of support, mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And so as a leader, it's my job to provide those things for her when she needs it. And so if there are times where she doesn't need me, quote unquote, to open up a jar, I have to understand that, you know, what she may be thinking and what she may be feeling at a particular point in time.
So Todd, are you looking at opening the jar as more of a metaphorical term here?
Okay.
Like
If she wants me to open up a jar, I understand as a leader that it's not that she doesn't have the ability to open up a jar, but I have to also recognize that there may be something else that she wants from me. Maybe she wants to have a closer relationship at that time with me. Maybe she wants to have some sort of an experience of togetherness, and the symbol is basically opening the jar.
That part.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
I've never heard anyone say
absolutely.
like that.
So
I
you
really
say,
like that.
so you say that the intellectual question is interesting, right? So everyone on the panel has had a job before, one way or another. Maybe they're working now. I'm not, sure what everyone on the panel does, but everyone has had a job of some sort, right? Now, your boss may not necessarily be the smartest person in the room. However, your boss is the one that can, is supposed to pull the best assets out of you, right? So technically, there can be someone that may be quote unquote smarter than the boss, but that person may not be able to actually navigate things as the boss. So to me, I think that intellectual question, I think that is interesting, but in full transparency, I think that's kind of a moot point, because the thing is that the leadership is about how you are able to navigate. So maybe the woman may be necessarily intellectually smarter than the man, but the man, it knows how to navigate all these things.
Kings and Dreamers, I'm going to stop you there. We have Debbie Moore from the Debbie Moore Show. Debbie, Sarah and I are big fans of yours. We just stumbled across your content a few days ago. You are our fucking hero, by the way. No, really, you guys, if you have not checked her out, she is fucking hilarious. She's amazing, and she hits dating in your 60s, and I am just all hell to you.
All hail to Debbie.
Well, I'm almost
Are not
70.
worthy.
I'm almost 70 years old, and I've been dating for 14 years, and it's been enough content to last my lifetime.
We fucking love you. We
Yes.
fucking love you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so much.
popping over with us.
We have been hounding you for days trying to get your contact info.
Well, I did an hour-long video last night making chicken noodle soup because I've been sick, but I'm getting ready to upload another one about domestic violence called "He Didn't Hit Me," right? Because I was married for 40 years, so I started my channel to help other women, but I try to put a whole lot of humor into it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You won my heart. So you had a video about the best sex you ever had being in your sleep. You had a video.
That was the best sex.
I fucking laughed my ass off. And then you had a video about picking up a younger dude in a bar once.
He was
26
years old.
And you had a video about men your age and that they should trim their nose hairs and their ear hairs. And I about died.
No, they're disgusting.
Died.
The older men are disgusting. They don't know how to dress. I blame their mothers and their wives. But you got to see the video about my new boyfriend. Did you see that?
No, not yet.
You got to check it out because I really tricked a lot of people because they really thought I had a boyfriend. but it's really that character from the Nightmare, the
Nightmare Before
Halloween.
Christmas.
Jack
Yeah, you
Skellington.
gotta check that out. But
Hmm.
I gotta tell you that I just got a call from a guy I've been with for 14 years. He wants to see me again. I told you about it earlier.
Mhm.
Debbie,
Yes.
you're the shit. You are
What?
just you are the shit.
Debbie is like the dating
The goat.
goddess. The
Channel sounds
goat.
fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
fucking goat. Debbie is the fucking goat, guys.
Well, let me tell you, so many of my subscribers want to date me, and I'm going, wait a minute, I'm old enough to be your grandma. Because I am a
Grandma
grandmother. My
Maxine.
grandchildren are in their 20s.
Grandma Max.
But what my subscribers
hero.
don't know is that I have been a mistress for 14 years to a very rich, powerful man. But they don't know that. You're the first one to know that.
Ooh, exposed
Spicy.
on Not Your Everyday Ashley. DDD.
You guys, you hear it first here, always. Like, I don't know what it is about everything coming out here, but it fucking happens, man.
But
Love
this guy saved my life because I was very suicidal when I left my husband. I found out he was on the down low, which destroyed me.
Oh,
On the down low.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it destroyed me because I was raised a Baptist, and that was just totally against what I was brought up in the church. So I had to
Oh,
leave.
down low, like swinging for the other team kind of down low?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Okay, I'm tracking. Sorry, my brain.
what
took a
down low is there?
I
didn't
the
know the term.
blonde, you know.
Ah, okay, got you. Yeah. But that's what that means. Yes.
Thank you.
Switch
That was
hitter,
big in the
whatever.
90s. Sir.
On the dangle,
Yes,
dangle
yes,
low.
all right, yeah.
Dangle,
yeah.
dangle low.
Not
And
trying to
he
be
just recently
offensive, but
got
I'm just saying
married.
that's
He
what
got
that
married.
means.
He
That's
must
all.
not be too bright.
Yes, on the DL. That is right. Or butt munching. Yes.
Yeah, he recently got married, and she must be an idiot to not know.
Oh, that's sad. That's very sad. Debbie, we want to hear about your experience with dating in the last few years. Because for the other people on the panel here, they have not seen your content like Sarah and I have. Big fans, I'll say again. But give us a few quick little stories here about dating in your 60s.
Well, I dated about 60 people.
I love it.
And I would go through spurts because it takes a lot of effort to shave your legs and, to make sure your roots aren't showing. It's a big effort for us older women. But
I fucking love you.
some of the guys could not figure out 10% on the bill. The only date I went on to this year, the first thing out of his mouth is, "Do you cook? Can you cook?" And I go, okay, I had to block him. I've had to block every date I've ever been on because they were
Really?
such losers.
Well, that might sound like a you problem, Debbie. No offense.
No, it's not me, honey. You ain't been out there like I have. It's
You're
awful.
right. You are right.
You have to be my age and be out there. These guys, one guy showed up in Crocs, and I dress to the nines when I go out. He showed up in Crocs. The last guy I dated last year showed up in his pajamas.
Guys, don't show up in Crocs or your pajamas. Let's
No.
not do this.
No, and
I wouldn't advise it.
Todd Allen is another gentleman on this panel that is closer to your age. Todd, what do you think about what she's saying so far? How does it correlate to your experiences?
Well, I think what she's saying is that she wants to date a man.
yes, a man.
I mean, and that's, I mean, a man knows how to open doors. A man knows how to stand up when a woman enters the room. A man knows how to, when he gets up and someone comes to the table, he knows how to get up and shake another man's hand firmly and look him in the eye and say hello. A man knows how to treat a lady. Now, and so when we're talking about older individuals, we're talking about the decorum of being a gentleman. Now, being a gentleman doesn't mean that I'm soft. Being a gentleman means that I'm powerful enough that I can whoop your ass, but I have enough control not to.
Say that. Say
Well,
that.
don't get me wrong. I have been engaged twice since my divorce. So yeah, it's one guy I found out, he wasn't very well endowed. I actually felt sorry for him. You know what I'm talking about?
I got that one this time.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, let's see. The other guy.
Well, I
found
want to say something about that
I
as well,
found
if I
him
may.
snorting pills in his closet. Honey, it's
Oh.
not me, it's them.
But I think that, you know, the greatest sexual organ is the mind.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you're talking about physical attributes, it could have been a bad day. Who knows? He could have went swimming in a cold lake. Who knows? But at the end of the day, if a man can nurture a woman's mind, it doesn't matter how big or how small he is, because
Yeah.
if he knows what he's doing, he can please a woman.
Right.
I want to hear
Well,
It's not all about
well,
sex, because when you're
I wanna
my
hear
age, most
on this one. So Minka is the youngest female on our panel. Minka, listening to people of a different generation than you, what do you think about the dating that they're talking about? How does it correlate
they have
to?
to have Viagra, these guys over 60.
I actually talk to a lot of people that are older. That's probably where I get most of my information of what I do want is from the older generation.
That's smart.
And you said it perfectly. Is like everything you're describing is the same thing that I describe. I just want a man, but I want like a man's man, and there's things to understand about that come with that territory, right? So I really like this. I really like this panel because there is a lot of information. One thing I will say is that I don't believe that. I mean, size matters to a degree if we're just talking about like climaxing, right? But when you bring into the mental stimulation portion, the one time that I ever did climax without clitoral stimulation was with the smallest man I've ever been with. But he was also the smartest man.
Guy's organ was no bigger than a pig's tail. Okay. No bigger than my little finger. He was very much.
This is
I
why I
get
like
that.
Debbie.
This is
I
unfortunate.
was just talking about generally
Debbie,
speaking.
I cannot stand you in a great way.
I love it.
No, listen, I've been with the same man for 14 years because he treats me like a princess. He pays for dinner actually. And he actually looks forward to my visit, and he would see me 3 times a week if I gave him that time. So believe me, I can make people happy, if you know what I'm saying.
Debbie, I would see you 5 times a week if you gave me that time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I can
But
say
there's
though,
a
like
lot of
the
women who are menopausal and they lose the interest of sex, and I'm one of these rare women. I read Suzanne Summers' book 20 years ago, and I've been on bioidentical hormones ever since, and that has saved my sex drive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I could imagine. It was just interesting hearing from Minka though, because she is the youngest woman on the panel, not married, no children ever. So it's just interesting hearing that point of view. I wish Minka would cam up tonight so you could see her, but I get it. I don't feel like camming up some nights, to be quite honest with you.
Hey, like I said, I'm still finishing up work. I promise I'll come up.
No,
in a minute.
Minka, I just meant because a lot of these people have never seen you before. Minka's a very beautiful girl. She's anyway. Cougs, do you have anything to add to this here, as far as your age dating and what Debbie has said?
Yeah. So I don't have any children either, and I've never been married. I think part of the challenge is just, I'm definitely a very independent person, career driven. And I think that with relationships, the older you get, I think there's a big partnership aspect, but it's good that what we've kind of like added to that is, if I really think back, and I didn't understand this in my 20s, but if I look back even then, there had to be like a feminine component, but it was kind of like in the chat, Grace brought up a point, like people say she's not feminine. I disagree. I don't know her that well. I've seen a couple of their streams and I totally think she's feminine. Just because you're strong or you have an opinion and you're intelligent doesn't mean you're not feminine. But there's other people that are other women I've met that actually want to be a dude. I mean, that, not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not talking about that part, but I meant they want to be the man in the relationship for whatever reason. It's just, I don't know. I think there's exceptions to the rule. It could work, but in my opinion, the relationships that have failed, we just didn't have the communication. Yeah, it was kind of all over the place, but you kind of learn a lot as you get older. And I think that I dated more when I was younger, but the relationships are way more passionate and intense, the older I get. So I think that's what kind of changes as you get older.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
sex is better in your 40s. Sex
Yeah.
is great in your 40s.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And Cougs, you were saying about the feminine masculine thing, like, even I can be very feminine for the right person, like, but it just takes somebody who's much more mentally stronger and can kind of put me in my place. I almost like challenge it,
Yeah.
not necessarily shit testing, but definitely challenge it, because I don't want somebody who is weaker than me to tell me what to do or
Pretend in the short term.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
say that again.
Who is pretending to be in the short term.
Right. Yeah. And like you really, like, I really throw those challenges out there because, like, again, if I can do all of this myself and make my own decisions, then, like, what are you here for? Like, aside from your
Right.
penis.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I just really and I think this was my issue with my ex. He just kind of like let me run the roost, and didn't really challenge me in any way. And a lot of it was because he just kind of he was a very smart man, but there was things where I just was so knowledgeable about that he couldn't, like, he trusted me to make the decisions, but I'm tired of making those. I want you to be smarter than me. I want you to be able to know what you're talking about with finances, or I want you to be able to, know how to refinance a house. And I want you to be able to understand what principal and interest is and things like that. I don't want to have to explain it to you or things of that nature. I'm not saying that was the case, but, I just, if I have to be the
I'm pretty
teacher.
sure you should have married my ex-husband.
So
Yeah, yes. I
Ma-
mean, we have very different tastes in men.
You
but
guys
when
would have been perfect together.
right, because then, like, he would have been, yeah, you're right. That's actually a good point to say that. But that's what I would require, is somebody who just knows what they're doing, because
Debbie, you have great hair for an older woman. No wonder you
seriously,
get talking ass.
yeah.
so let me just jump in here, right?
I
so the,
had a block.
I'm sorry. Hello? Did somebody
Go
say
ahead,
something?
Go ahead, Kings.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the thing about it is that the truth of the matter is that no matter what society is saying, especially in a westernized culture, is that just to piggyback off of what Sarah had said, is that women want the man to be the leader, not being domineering, but being dominant. And there is that vast difference, because the thing about it is that, like, when the term masculinity or alpha, whatever the case is, comes up, it's just that my way or the highway. No, it's not necessarily that, but it's that, like what Sarah was saying, like a man to refinance the house and things of that sort. And so that's how it really should be. Because if you look at society nowadays, and they talk about equality and equal partners or whatever, but yeah, that sounds cute on paper, but the thing about it is that women are not really going to be with a man that they see as their equal. Like, hypergamy is real, and so women want a man that is
I agree with
doing
that.
better than them.
I
They
agree
do.
with you. Yeah.
They do. And the thing about it is that, like, society will say that. I'm not gonna say that, because I know what's real. And yeah, there were times in my 20s where I was dealing with a woman where I thought that we were equal, and yeah, we were equal, but she ended up dealing with a man that was better than me. And I had to learn it. Now that I'm 37 years old, I know that, like, whatever woman that I'm dealing with, I know that I have to be better than her. Again, that doesn't mean that she's not smart or anything like that. What I'm saying is that I have to
Win
be
her
the
over.
leader.
Yeah.
I have to be the leader, because men
If
on the
let-
panel. I'm sorry. Hold on a minute. Hold on, Ashley. Sorry. Respectfully.
No, go for it.
Men on the panel that are watching, here's the thing. No one is coming to save you, men. Because if you look at society, right, women and children will always have something to fall on. Men, we have nothing to fall on. We fall on our ass. So men, we have to be the leaders. We have to be the protectors. Like, society has this beta male nonsense, and I get it. There are a lot of men that are beta males, but the thing about it is that masculinity wins. Because think about it, right? With you look at Jay-Z or Beyonce, you look at Diddy. The thing about it is, how is Diddy being able to get so many women? Because women look up to him.
Well, he's
You know,
successful.
and sorry, I just wanted to finish this last point, right? And I know that, and I'm talking about famous people, but regardless, now the thing about it is that when a masculine man walks into the room, woman will know.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just leave it there.
It's all about confidence. Confidence is sexy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And can I kind of piggyback off of you, Kings?
Yeah.
For instance, Ryan, and I'm not picking on you, but
Please
earlier
do.
you were
No,
saying how you wouldn't mind it, or you're okay with the idea of, kind of a reversed role in terms of submission and dominating. Like, if I dated a man who simped for me all the time, like, that would be annoying to me. I make
Sure.
so many decisions in a day between children and what's for dinner and what lunch am I packing, or what's everybody wearing, or when do I need to run the laundry, or what do I need to take out of the. No, I'm done making decisions. By the time you get home, I want you to tell me, bitch, go sit down. I'm going to do this, and then we're going to go fuck, and then that's how it's going to be. And I'm like, yes, thank you. And if it were to be complete opposite of that, and he's relying on me to, pick the day or make the decisions of the house, you want to know why women can't decide where to go to eat? We want you to tell us where. We want you to just say, we're going to go to Taco Bell, and that's how it's going to be. End of story. Right?
Well,
Yeah.
I hear you, and I feel that a lot. But I will say, like, the first half of what you were saying, I feel like kind of played into my point earlier. Like it sounds like for all your entire day, like, you are taking that, like, leadership role where you're taking care of all these things, and he doesn't have to. Like, he gets to
minor things.
pass off.
Let me clarify.
Well, I think they're all necessary, though, right? They're all important to, like, raising.
Would a
like,
man be
family together,
choosing
right?
Would a man be choosing what the kids are wearing that day? Probably
Maybe.
not. Would it?
I mean,
Maybe.
could be. That's kind of,
but
yeah.
Oh, let
But if-
Ryan answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead,
that was
sorry.
like what I was saying is that you're filling all of these leadership roles in that dimension, and sure, like I'm with you again. Like he comes home and you want him to grab you and hell yeah, like, I'm about that too, and he's gonna take the leadership role in that situation. But I think, like, the dynamic of, like, I feel like it comes off reductive a lot when we just say like men have to be the leaders. And I think it also makes it really difficult for men who probably don't. And personally, I don't know. I feel like I'm more of a leader. I'm oftentimes the loudest person in the room, like, talking to everyone. But like, I think a lot of men don't fall into these traditional roles, and they pushing themselves into that, like, just to appease what they think they're supposed to be fitting into. I think that makes it unstable, like, from the get go. You know what I mean?
So Ryan, and I just want to just challenge your point on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about it is that, like, you say, I feel, and, like, I respect your opinion and things like that, but how you feel doesn't mean what is. And see, the thing is that, like, I know that, like, they, in the manosphere, they have, black pill, red pill, whatever. I am a red pill guy. Red pill, in the simplest form, is really just the truth. The truth of the matter is that men are supposed to be the leaders. What happens is that, like, in modern day society, a lot of either marriages and or relationships that are, getting broken up, divorced, what have you, is because men are not stepping up to be the leaders, right?
The women's lib movement and the Me Too movement has done a big number on men.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I want to focus on the men respectfully, because I know you're my elder and I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm focusing on the men because you are right about that. But I'm focusing on the men on this aspect, right? Because the woman aspect does play a part, but I have to focus on the men. This is why I'm having this conversation with Ryan. So hopefully I didn't offend you, but I'm just having this, talk with Ryan. But yeah, so yeah, well, when it comes to the men, I'm talking about the men in this aspect, because I'm sorry, is it Debbie?
Yes.
Debbie Moore?
Yes.
Okay, Debbie Moore. Yes, you are right. So I hope you don't, feel offended. But what I'm getting at is that
I don't
Ryan,
I think Debbie rarely feels offended. You're good.
yeah. No, but I just like to have transparent conversations. That's all. But because my thing is that, like, the woman can speak on the woman, but I like to harp on the men, because the thing about it is that, as I mentioned earlier, society is not going to save men, and men need to listen more. Women have a cushion to fall back on. Men, unfortunately, we don't. If we don't make it, we're done.
What
That's
cushion are you talking about? I don't have anybody to fall back on. I don't know what your cushion you're talking about.
Yeah, but respectfully, I'm talking to Ryan, and then I will address you afterwards.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was going back into what you were talking about, Ryan, in reference to, like, the equality. I'm saying it's not equal, brother. It's just not. And I know how you saying that, how you feel, and like, yeah, women of course can do small things, and I don't want to minimize that, because women are very important, but men's job is extremely important, because it's like we have to guide the ship, because if this ship sinks, then we all sink.
All right. I do want to hear from Debbie now. Debbie, your thoughts on what Kings just said.
I just like to know what cushion he thinks us women have, because I don't have a cushion. I don't have anybody to have my back. So I'd like him to explain, what does he think that women have cushions?
Define cushions, King.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, all right. So in reference to cushions, right? So what I'm saying is that, like, if a woman ends up, being homeless or whatever the case is, there are more shelters for women as opposed to men. So women do have shelters. Now, for all women, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that women have more options than men. It is statistically proven. You can Google it. You can go to CDC.com, MSNBC.com. You can actually Google these things.
Kings,
right? Hold on a minute. So, Debbie,
I was going to agree with you on this. And
sorry.
But yeah.
That's true.
See, I think that,
sorry.
I would agree with King on that, because I think that, a lot of times women talk about equality, but they don't want equal responsibilities, right? They want to be equal, but the responsibility or the failure of a marriage usually falls on the fact that the woman says it's the man's fault. And so, I mean, we look at statistics, statistically speaking, talking about in the US, and I kind of agree with Minka. In the US, we're looking at 50% of marriages fall to divorce. But if you look at Colombia and other Latin American countries, the divorce rate's 4%. Well, why is that? Well, one of the things in Latin America is this culture called machismo, that the man is supposed to be responsible for a lot of things. Now, I'm not advocating a lot of things that go on with that, but I'm just simply saying it as a mindset. I think that if we're not supposed to, in my view, men and women are equal, but men are supposed to have a different responsibility. Women don't go to war. Some do, but the majority of women don't want to go to war. Case in point, the Ukraine. Men can't leave the Ukraine, but women can. But I don't see women in the uproar talking about we want equal rights. We want to fight alongside our men in the Ukraine. I don't see that.
Here's
Todd-
what
They are.
Oh, I had a
what
question.
King said, if I may
Go
really
ahead.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think what he was saying is that he's trying to say men and women don't have the same responsibilities. And when it comes to that, I do agree. I think that personally, I think that as a woman, if, say I were to get a divorce, my house burnt down, I were to lose everything I had, as a woman, being a female, feminine with a vagina and breasts, right? I could go, if this were what I needed to do to survive, I could go and find a man and I could be taken care of. I could. It's much less likely for a man to be able to do that for himself. And in that sense, I think it's inherently true. I do. I'm not saying every woman or man wants to do that, but I'm saying that option is more so there for the female than it is for the male. And so for the male wanting to be the one that is the to be able to do that, he's got to be more established. He's got to have more money. He's got to have the better job, and he's got to have, be more established. So I'm just saying, piggybacking off of what King said and what Todd said, I think that probably is more inherently true.
And in most cases, to piggyback on that, the court is going to support the woman in the divorce in most cases. So that if the man does have money and he goes through a divorce, he's going, much of what he has is, or half of what he's going to have is going to be taken away, because the courts decide that the woman is entitled to the same lifestyle that she had when she was married. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm just simply saying that in most cases, that's the case when it comes to the court and divorce.
Are
agree
you
with-
a member of the MGTOW guy?
I don't know what that is. I'm not a member of any.
Debbie,
particular group.
none of these guys are actually. None of these guys are.
Todd is married, and I mean, for men that are MGTOW, that's their thing, but I'm not a MGTOW guy.
I don't even know what that is. I'm
Debbie,
sorry.
Men going their own way.
MGTOW means men
Real quick.
going their own way.
Real quick.
Basically don't believe in marriage. They just, bachelors until they die.
No, I
Debbie,
don't.
none of the guys on this panel, as far as I know, don't inherently associate themselves with any one like hardcore. Cougs, is that right? Because I see you.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple periods in my life where I was building a business and I didn't really have time for dating, and so I didn't write it off completely though at that point, right? I just wasn't actively cold approaching and trying to make that a priority at the time. But no, absolutely not. I'm not a member of MGTOW. I still definitely am all about dating. It's just sometimes it's not the top priority, and I think a lot of guys can attest to that. When they get older,
Absolutely.
they're focused on traveling and business and just a lot of things that they didn't get to do when they were busy and working 50 hours a week trying to build a nest egg. But I did want to throw a comment in earlier. I think that and maybe it's a generational thing, but one of the aspects I've kind of been brought up as, or raised, or in my social circle growing up is, just complaining in general. I think that these days we just have a lot of access to social media, TikTok especially. There's just people bitching and moaning all the time about things. And yeah, life sucks and it's rough. But one of the things I always fell back on is, when there were tough times, I always had the philosophy that life's not fair and you need to accept it. Some people have it easier and maybe you're going to have to work 3 times as hard as the next person. But as long as you know that and you're willing to put in the work, you can make it happen. So, I mean, you can't always blame other people. And I think people sometimes fall into that trap.
Yeah. So Debbie, I think I do think every man on this panel is kind of pretty open-minded, I guess would be why we wanted you here tonight. Cause you seem like a very open-minded lady yourself. So
Todd, can I just clarify something? Because you were talking about the responsibilities of a man and how he's taking leadership, taking care of the family in that aspect, and leading the family, generally speaking. Would you say that the wife's role would be, like, her responsibility would be solely to support his leadership and delegations and things that he's like, that is like his role is to lead and her role is specifically to support?
No, I'm not advocating any type of a dictatorship. I think when we talk about the role of men, I think that the one thing that men of I would say that most men in my generation, I can't speak for all men, that the thing that we're most afraid of is that we don't leave a legacy and that we will not be remembered. And so because of that mortality, that idea of mortality, and that at some point, you know, when we pass, people will be sad, but they're going to be sad for a short period of time and they're going to move on with their lives. And the memories that people have of us will fade. And so that is the reason why we want to lead our families, and we want to be lead our families in such a way that we put them in a greater position when we are gone.
Okay.
And so from that perspective, if a man has a vision of the legacy that he wants to leave, it behooves him to have a partner that supports the fact that he wants to leave a positive legacy for his family. You talked about the financial things. Well, yeah, that's part of it, right? And so it's not her quote unquote responsibility or role to support him, but they're supposed to be supportive in each other in terms of what he believes the goal is, to leave the legacy and to leave generational wealth for him, for the family, for her and for the kids in perpetuity. And that's just my philosophy of it. Because again, you know, when I pass, I'm only going to be remembered for the experiences that my family has, not for the amount of money that I have or all that other kind of stuff. I'm only going to be remembered for the experiences until she meets her next husband.
Say that.
So it's almost like interchanging in an aspect.
It is, but I don't believe that. I mean, my wife is very como explica. My wife is Colombian. Okay, so she's Latin in nature, and so she takes charge when it comes to her family. And I have to explain to her sometimes that, you know, I already have a mother, I don't need an additional mom, right? But that's just cultural. But I also recognize and realize that the things that she does for the household, she does it because that's her love language. But her expectation from me is to lead. That's her expectation. And I told her, I said, if you want to work, you can. However, for me, I don't want her to work because I would rather her work in our business than to work in another man's dream. To me, that's almost like cheating.
Right. I completely agree with that. You know what I mean? Because the thing is that, like, okay, so you go to work. Typically, people go to work 5 days a week. So you're dedicating at least 5 days a week to this man, right? So that's cutting into our time. So I completely get exactly what Todd is saying. You know, now it's not to say that like the woman is just, you know, not supposed to have any hobbies or anything like that. No, not at all. You know, there has to be a way of balancing it. But the thing is that, like, when it comes to the 50-50 balance, like, you know, I know that like it feels good, but it's just not realistic. And I deal with stats in reality, you know.
All right, Minka, welcome back, Minka. It's good to see you.
Hey, Minka, cammed up.
How are you?
Oh, you're on mute.
My bad. I'm back. I was trying to mute myself because sometimes I don't shut up.
I feel that hard.
Yeah, I was just gonna add. I don't think I'm because I think part of that was directed a little bit towards me at the end, like the 50-50
well,
thing.
not necessarily you.
Sure.
So Ryan, it wasn't you. It was more or less of like
the values I've espoused, at least. Like,
yeah.
But
That wasn't a shot at you because
no, I don't see it that way either.
Yeah. No, I would address you and say, hey, Ryan, I'm saying this to you just to be transparent.
Yeah, I'm just speaking to it because I think it's relevant to what I was saying.
Yeah, no, I'm just not with the subtleties. I wouldn't do that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I hear you. But rather than I think like the 50-50 like equality, I think what I am trying to speak to is like the relationship where again, like there's like supplementary thing or complementary is I think the better word for what I'm looking for. Where like people are both bringing their own values to the relationship, but also like when we talk about leaving, like the man leaving his legacy, I think ideally like shared values are going to lead to a shared vision of a legacy together. And I think that shared goal doesn't necessarily have to be like where like he has his thumb on the scale of what that looks like exactly. Because I think that like women also, a lot of women want to have input in those situations. And I think like to a further point of that, I think we're going to see more and more of that, because it's only been in the last 100 years that women have really been like more accepted to start filling these kinds of roles in society. And like right now, absolutely, it is the case that, you know, like men get fucked in the courts. Excuse me, sorry for like men definitely get like short end of the stick, right? Like, and that like if a man goes out looking for a sugar mama, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to like find someone who can fill that role for him. And also when we talk about the women's shelters, like it's very difficult for a man who might be a victim of domestic abuse to find a safe place to go. But I think like these are all things that like, as we move forward, we should be expanding what all of these things look like, right? And making it more acceptable for people who can better fit roles in different situations. And I think this again like the rigidity that I see. I feel like a lot of men will play it up and try to be what they're not necessarily like, but they might become eventually. But they're like trying to be it, you know, in a way that's like maybe harmful to them and the people around them potentially, you know. Sorry, that was a lot.
Sorry, I was going to say, no, it's good. I like it when you say a lot. I was on mute myself.
I appreciate it.
I loved it. I think it's great. That's why I wanted you on this panel. You have so much to add. Yeah. I love that. I love it so much. All right, Debbie, tell us about some of your most recent dating experiences. Guys, I've watched Debbie's channel. She's hilarious. Like she's my new idol. Honestly, Debbie, you really are. I think you're so fucking hilarious. Tell us about the last date you went on. Well, whatever
that's
last.
The one who, the only thing out of his mouth was, "Can you cook?" Yeah, and the date I had last year, the guy showed up in his pajamas and he had an odor. Oh my God! And I'm picking the cream of the crop off these dating sites. That's what I have to work with. But thank God I've had this other guy in my life who, like I said, has treated me like a princess. He's helped me move. I've had, most of these guys have medical issues. Some of them think just because you go on one date that they have the right to touch you. Most of them have very severe addiction problems. I think over the two guys that I was engaged to, I found out one of them was on Antabuse because he was
Debbie, can you cook, Debbie?
Yes, in fact, yes, I can cook very well. But I'm more of a baker. Yeah, but this other guy that I was madly in love with, great sex. He was tall, handsome. He on Christmas Eve, I saw him snorting pills in his closet, and I'm an ex-cop. It just rattled me to my core that so many guys out there who are single have problems with substance abuse.
Okay, all right, I feel it. Debbie, I already tagged you in this video. People need to check out her channel, guys. She's fucking hilarious.
I've subscribed.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's share each other's channels and support each other.
The one guy that I actually went on 3 dates with, I left him in the middle of the road in his underwear because yes. He thought wearing a CPAP machine was going to turn me on. Well, honey, it does not. Okay. But he thought just because we went on an overnight trip that I was going to share my body with him. Oh my God. And that's not true because I thought I was going to get a separate room. You know, he kind of like.
And how old was he compared to you?
He was the same age as me. Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah. And he actually laid in the bed and fondled himself. And I tried to put on as many clothes as I could so that he would not get turned on by my body, because I still have a really good looking body, for
I
my
fucking
age.
believe it.
No stretch marks. My tits are real. Oh my God. But he
fucking
wanted he wanted me to touch him, and he wanted to look at my genitals. I swear to God. And I said, trust me, they're beautiful. And then the next morning,
Genital
I left his
vaccine.
Yeah, I got stories to tell.
Debbie does have a lot of stories to tell, and we are here for it. We are.
Yeah, I like you, Debbie.
Yeah, has
Yeah,
anybody
Debbie's
on
the
your
shit,
panel been
Ryan.
married
Debbie is the
for
shit.
40 years. I was married for 40 years. I mean, that was longer than anybody in my high school.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking here for it, man.
And I taught him everything he knows, and I gave him a company. I gave him all the equipment. We had a very successful business. I gave him everything because all I wanted was happiness. That's all I wanted. I gave up a lot of money and wealth just to be happy. And let me tell you something. Nobody pays my bills. Nobody has my back. But I do have a good support system in
Debbie,
my
you're
family.
turning on Q2. Q2 likes him an older woman. He's younger, and he has notoriously gone for the older women. Let me tell you.
Shoot your
Like,
shot. Keith.
I'm
I have a
older
question
than
for
you,
Debbie.
too.
I have a
All
question
right.
for Debbie, and
Please,
and
go ahead, Todd.
and,
Go ahead.
and respectfully, I ask this: when you say that no one has your back, but yet you say you've been in a 13-year relationship with a married man, doesn't he support you?
When I want to be with him, yeah, he gives me money.
Then
but
he supports
I don't
you.
ask for it.
But
I don't
whether you ask for it or not, the support is still there. You're not alone. But
That's
I'm
so
sure that if you fell on hard times, he would be there to support you. So yeah. So I believe in a sense that's kind of disingenuous when you say no one has your back, because you've already admitted that you're in a 13-year
I haven't
relationship.
seen him in over a year, and but yeah, you're right. If I needed something, he would be there for me.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, I mean, just, and I don't want to just, jump on you, Debbie, but yeah, like you said that earlier, like no one has your back, but that's what I'm saying. Like men, like no one has our back. Like,
And-
yes, if you wanted to get with him, he would
Hey, you
support
can get a sugar mama. You can get a sugar mama
But
anytime.
that's not. But that's not the same thing.
Yeah, but that's
Definitely way
not-
harder for a man to find that.
Yeah.
But,
Go ahead,
but
I'm
yes,
sorry,
it is
I'm
out
sorry,
there.
Minka. Go ahead, Minka. Sorry.
So thank you, I appreciate that. So actually, I know a lot of guys that do find the sugar mamas, but they're usually married women, and so that's one aspect. But what the guys are trying to say, which is actually what I said earlier, is, and this puts me at an advantage because so many women have the same mentality. You're not giving credit to where it's due. It's the same thing as if a man is not giving me credit. I'm like, I'll tell you this: I cooked for my ex. I made him like 3 meals a day, meal prepped, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I did all the laundry. I cleaned the house. We were also 50-50. I probably won't be doing that again. But nonetheless, he did not ever give me that appreciation, that acknowledgement that I was able to do that until after the breakup. And he was like, I didn't know how to take care of myself. You did do a lot. And that's what they're trying to say is by just saying no one has my back, you're not, it's the same thing. I really believe that there's like a whole dividend between men and women, and it's because we don't appreciate each other. I'll tell you this, my dad's here a lot. He comes to visit me a lot. I give that man all the credit in the world. I'll come home and he's made foods for me. He's taken care of my dog. He's fixed a window that broke and all of the, but I have to give credit. If I was just entitled and I said, and I didn't say anything, oh, you fixed that? Okay, cool. Then they're not going to want to do that anymore. But if I say every time, wow, Dad, thank you so much. And then I tell other people, my dad did this. My dad wants to keep doing things. It's the same thing with any other man. If I tell them this man that I'm dating, he fixed things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a guy that was fixing stuff around the house and like, oh my God. And I kept saying, wow, thank you so much. That he kept doing more of that. And that's the part where the guys are just trying to communicate. We should be giving men that respect.
Right.
Well,
No,
I think
I
that's
absolutely.
portion
I
of
made in my marriage, I didn't appreciate, I didn't verbally tell my husband enough how much I appreciate him. And the other mistake I made in the marriage was I did everything. I did all the housework, all the child rearing. So those are the two mistakes I made.
Right. And just to kind of follow up on what Minka said, right? Because the thing is that like there's no unattractive woman on this panel, right? The thing is that like if you guys wanted to be in a position to where you guys wanted to find a man that can take care of you guys, cool. Now, the thing is that
Here,
like,
the thing is, Kings, is that we all could. And
right.
that's, exactly. I agree with
That's
you.
my point. So that's
Yes.
why when I was saying to the
Yeah.
men, like, there's no one that's coming to save you, because the thing about it is that like there's men that's walking up and down the street that look like The Rock, but the thing is that if you don't have The Rock status, a woman's gonna take care of you for a bit, but you're not gonna get that same respect. Now the thing is that Sarah, Ashley, and Minka, I think you ladies are in your 20s, 30s, whatever. But the thing is that you guys can find a guy that'll take care of you guys, and that's going to respect you. But if you taking care of a man, is
Debbie
he going to have
could
that
too.
same
That's
respect?
the thing. Debbie could too. And that's my
Well, I was saying no.
I
No.
pay my own.
Well, I was
pay my
talking
own
about. I was
bills.
talking about like
Who's gonna want a
younger and things like
70-year-old
that.
woman?
I'm sorry.
Go for it, Debbie. Yeah. What?
Who's going to want to marry a 70-year-old woman? I'm off the market because I'm so old.
No, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm also.
I mean, you're
saying,
attractive for 70 years old, but yeah, I have no rebuttal, and that's not a diss to you.
You
but
don't
I'm saying,
exactly. Because that's why this is dating throughout the generations. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like,
Well,
there is a
well,
huge
let-
difference between.
Let me
20,
ask you
30,
this question,
40,
Debbie.
50.
Do you think that a 70-year-old man and a 70-year-old woman have equal possibilities in terms of dating, or not? Do you think that
No.
that a
No, because with
Okay.
men go for the younger women. That is a fact.
and you don't believe
That-
that younger men go for older women?
Not to the same.
Oh, I
degree,
know
don't-
because
don't
they
think.
hit me up all the time on my channel.
Right.
If it wasn't for my YouTube channel, I would have been homeless and destitute myself.
Yeah. So I think that you're even expressing that even in your situation, you have the ability as a woman to put yourself out there in the marketplace. But a 70-year-old man is not going to be wanted by a younger woman unless he has status.
Oh yeah, he's going to have money or be really good in bed.
Well, so I think that this is what we were basically saying, is that the responsibility of men throughout the decades changes, okay, but ultimately it's the same. That most women, regardless of their age, are hypergamous, and so a man has to be on his square, so to speak. He has to be in a position that he can support a woman.
Debbie,
so-
you got some.
Yeah,
love-
but men have so many more opportunities than women because
Uh-oh.
Damn it! I
Debbie-
really want to hear what she's saying.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
wanted to hear that too.
Me too.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, that's like a cliffhanger. Tune in next
It's
week.
like on tenterhooks.
Oh, Debbie, you cut out. We're with you again. Are you there?
men
Right.
have 100,000 times opportunities than women because I am a product of sex discrimination suit with the Justice Department, and I won my case because men were being hired in the police department and our seniority and more experience. So men have had the world at their feet, not us women. We are still being discriminated against.
I have something to say about this actually, because unless anybody else wants to go first, sorry.
Oh no!
No, go ahead.
Please
Mika.
speak, Mika, because
So, because
Please.
here's
please
the
do.
deal. I for the last 30, I mean, I won't say 30 years, but for the last like 15 years of my career was with that stance 100%. I wear a fake engagement ring to go to networking events because I get hit on. People don't respect me, all these things, right? And that,
Right.
and I a lot of my aggression and my masculine energy that I had to learn how to release and bring in that feminine energy came from that specifically. And especially having a mother, she had her own business, she handled everything, raised me and my sister. Anyways, so I already qualify, I have the examples, and I definitely have lived that idea and that notion for a long time until recently. Because what it comes down to because men expect less of me, I utilize that to my advantage. So now when I go into the rooms where, let's say, like any of these gentlemen, there's a specific room that these gentlemen want to get into, whether they're talking about finances, crypto, investments, whatever. But the kingpins are like, they're talking about what they're going to do next, right? It's easier for me to get into that room and utilize that information than any of the men on this panel. What it took was me realizing exactly what King is saying, the same thing for women. No one's going to save you. So you have to understand how to manipulate the energy around you and utilize it to your best benefit. So now, where for the past 15 years, I used to think, oh God, it's been so hard. I was grinding. I was so tired. And now the last year, it's been a lot more of an ebb and flow. I'm able to get on, even in the YouTube world, I'm able to get on a lot more panels because of the way that I look, how I conduct myself, and what I represent. Right? I'm able to go into a meeting and because all I have to do is put this thing on and immediately they give me more respect. They don't mess with me as much. And I'm like a fly on the wall because they don't expect much of me. And boom, when I need to bring that monster out, I'm able to do that. So in fact, it seems to me, whereas you're absolutely right, for the past decades, men did have the upper hand. I don't agree with it anymore.
But Debbie, I have a question. So there's a lot of people in the chat and I've seen a lot of your videos. So a lot of people in the chat have kind of an older woman fetish. What do you think about that? And how often do you come across that? I'm curious because a lot of men in the chat.
Debbie, your experience.
There's about 5 to 10% of my comments on my channel are younger men asking me if I will hook up with them, and I just kind of laugh because I was with a 20-year-old one night and the next day I couldn't walk. He wore me out. Oh my God, I will never do that again. But let's tell you what, I've learned my life. It's better to have a companion. No, I couldn't walk. I was, working in a pharmacy. But yeah, he went out.
Did you say 20?
And I go, are you crazy? So I put him on my golf cart and took his ass right back home. But let me tell you what, I've learned now that companionship, someone to love you, is much more important than having sex. And I know my girlfriend had to explain this to me because I always confuse sex with love. I thought my husband had sex with me, that he loved me. That's not true.
Do you think a lot of women? Do you think a lot of women, Debbie? Do you think a lot of women feel that way when they're younger?
Well, a lot of women are not as sexual as I am. I've always been very sexy, even in high school. I mean, I exude sexuality, and that's why a lot of women don't like me. But that's their problem.
Oh, we love you. We fucking love you, Debbie. We are here for it.
And I do have to wear. When I was working, I had to wear a fake engagement ring, just like the other beautiful lady in your panel. And I never let a man know how smart I am. You should. Dr. Phil says this. You better not let everybody know everything about you when you're dating, because so many times I've been love bombed. I have to sometimes act silly and stupid, but they don't realize that when I was in high school, we had civil service exams.
The love bombing happens when you're over the age of 40 as well.
Oh my God. I had one guy that brought me flowers every day at my job, and he would bring bags of gifts. And then all of a sudden, on like the third date, I realized he had on a bad wig and it wasn't moving with the rest of his head. I dropped him because the thing of it is, what happens if you're in an intimate situation and his daggone wig falls off? It was very embarrassing.
I have a question.
Would you rather him just go bald then?
No, I think men should, he should have let me know by the third date. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing a rug.
Okay.
I have not. I think some bald men are extremely sexy, like Telly Savalas, But I like the quirky guys like Pete Davidson. Right now, I have a crush on Posty Malone.
Posty Malone.
She threw him off the golf cart.
Pete Davidson. All right.
So I have a question.
Pete Davidson. Everybody.
My question is, I know we're talking about.
They always have been.
I know we're talking about dating through the ages, but my question, just in general for the panel, is what's the purpose of dating? Is the purpose of dating and meeting somebody and just having sex with a bunch of people, Whereas the purpose of dating is to find someone that is your companion. And so when you talk about someone love bombing you, I mean, you should be able to see that a mile away. Either you accept the gift or you don't, right? Because if we're talking about strong, independent people, and if someone continues to give you gifts or gives you flowers for no apparent reason, then that should be a red flag.
No,
So,
he would have him delivered to my job. He didn't.
Well, again, I mean, okay, he has them delivered to your job, and I'm not speaking specifically to you for this particular incident. I'm just questioning in general. See, the purpose for me to when I was dating my wife, the purpose was ultimately, in my mind, for marriage. I was looking for a mate. I was looking for a companion, and the things that I looked for are intelligence. Not just intelligence, but family values, religious values, all these different things that would make us compatible. And so when I found that, then it was a matter of, from the culture of my wife, it was a matter of now I'm meeting her family, she's meeting my family, I'm meeting her pastor, she's meeting my rabbi. All these different things are correlated into it. But the idea when we were dating was that there was not going to be any kind of sexual encounters while we're dating. That was a stipulation, and that was a non sequitur. That was a deal breaker right there. And so when we go into it, we're understanding that I'm not going in here for a hookup. I'm going in because I'm looking for a companion for the rest of my life. I had been married twice before. I'd made those same mistakes. I wasn't going to make the same mistake.
So has Debbie. Debbie also has.
Has what?
I will never get married
again.
No.
What I'm saying is that when I'm looking at the purpose of dating, it's what's the end game, not just simply I'm meeting as many people as I can. I'm dispersing myself out. I'm spreading my energy out as far as I can. I'm looking for. At my age,
I'm not looking for an end game. I'm just looking for someone to have a conversation with.
Understood.
Yeah,
understood.
I'm not.
And that was the purpose of the question. And so I think that is the rationale behind what people basically what they're looking for and how they go about dating. I mean, we're talking about dating through the ages or dating through the decades. It all really depends upon what us as individuals, ultimately what it is that we want or need.
Well,
and
I love eating when I want to. I love sleeping when I want to. I love wearing what I want to. I love going where I want to. I don't never want that control again.
Queen, my queen.
And I was gonna say, I love you, Debbie.
I will
What's
never
a queen without a
for
king?
Men again. I will never be being their slave. I was a slave in my marriage. I mean, constantly. I will never be that again.
To that point, I think I agreed with a lot of what you were saying there, Todd. Like, I think I'd even take it a bit more broad though. Like, I'd say that like at any given point in time, I think people are so like sometimes people are obviously looking for what you described, like that they're trying to find someone who they're like ready to settle down. But I think that the goal is going to be like people trying to find what they're like, what's the most compatible with them for that time and place that they're in, you know. And so, yeah, I think that's a good broader point to extrapolate
the saying
from that. But I
for
think it's
women my age is that we refuse to be a purse or a nurse.
Sure.
Oh,
So
that's fucking awesome.
So let me ask you. Okay, so
Debbie.
So Debbie, let me. Okay, so Debbie,
night. Damn.
Okay, so Debbie, let me.
That is lit right there. That is fucking. Yeah. We refuse to be a
because I raised 2 children and I raised my husband. I actually raised 3 children because I taught him everything he knew, everything he knows.
Woo!
So let me ask you this. All right, so Debbie, let me ask you this, right?
Debbie does say, damn, Debbie, a purse or a nurse? You had me. Sorry.
Because most men don't like going to the doctor, and us older women, we have to nudge you to take care of your teeth and go get your blood pressure taken. I'm tired of taking care of grown men.
Let them die. Let your teeth fall out. Whatever. I can agree.
That's some shit.
So Debbie. All right, so Debbie,
you to be a purse or a nurse. Oof. When you hit a certain age and you've been dating a certain demographic, I mean, I feel that, Debbie. Even at 36, I fucking feel you.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
Anybody
I
else that?
I would roll
he just
over.
spoke to me.
if I found a man that went to the doctor on his own and went to the dentist, took care of his financial affairs, had a house and had a car that he owned, I would just be ecstatic.
Ooh, you get
I'm
me
gonna
hot.
say this. I actually had a conversation with King the other day. We were like talking about a lot of the stuff we're talking about now, and one of the things that I think like I said, I've learned a lot in the last year being a part of all this and learning a lot is, so I said before, I have multiple businesses, right? I'm exhausted. And like I said earlier, I love my dad and I love that he comes to visit me. However, he talks so much. And so all I want, so, and I told him, like, we have a deal now where sometimes I tell him, like, look, I need like at least an hour before you say anything to me. And he still won't like actually abide by the agreement that we had.
He's
But it made
lonely.
me, I know that, but it made me realize that it's also what a lot of men experience with women when they come home from work. You said that you want a provider, you want all these things, but they're also going to come back and be exhausted because they're providing. They're not going to remember to go to the dentist. They're not going to remember to get their yearly checkup. They have so many other things on their mind because they're not just in charge of me. They're going to be in charge of me and the children and the mortgage and the bills and the increasing rates, all of these factors that it's like, I understand what you're saying because I also used to think a lot about it, but it's like, this is the exact dialogue when I say that I have an advantage against most women is because of this dialogue, because we're emasculating men. We're
But
not giving,
Minka,
like,
Yeah.
I do all of those things myself, and I provide for my household, and
Right.
I take care
And
of
you're a
my
mom.
checkups.
You're a mom too,
and my
right?
children's checkups.
Right.
Yes, I have two.
It's
So,
exhausting.
like, if I'm doing all of that and able to manage all of those things, now my calendar does a lot of the work for me. You know, I'm smart enough to be able to use technology to my advantage, or else I would forget shit all the time. But
do
if
it.
I can do that
Good for you.
and provide, like, you know,
I'm not taking that away from you at all, because that's, as you, all four of us
I'm
women
not saying you.
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying you are, but you're saying.
Let me mute myself
Like
really
a man comes home and he's a provider and he's going to work and working. Like, it's like to expect him to remember to do like his healthcare and this and that or another. Like, it's almost like, oh damn, like let's throw another thing on the plate. But it's like, well, I'm doing all of that, so
let me re-explain it a little bit better. So
Okay.
if again, King, I'm just using you as an example because we like align a lot, and so
No, no, trust me,
So-
it's all good because if you weren't gonna talk, I was, so it's all good.
so no, I'm using you as an example of like a hypothetical husband, right?
No,
So-
I'm saying yes. Go
Okay,
ahead.
So hypothetically, King and I are married. What you're only focusing on is what I just said about the man, right? But not remembering that at the same time, if I'm in a committed relationship with King, that means that there's going to be things that I don't have to do. I'm probably not going to have to take out the trash. I'm probably not going to have to pay the bills. I'm probably not going to do 50-50, and either I'm a stay-at-home mom or I'm like, and this is what we talked about earlier, finding that person that best matches what you want. So like, I know that I want someone that's going to take out the trash. I know I want someone that's going to always open the doors, even like maybe forgets, but it'll be important for him to remember so that I know that he cares. It's stupid stuff like that, right? But at the same time, through a relationship and a union, we're going to have ebb and flow. Maybe I'll be exhausted 1 week from cooking all the time and he's doing it. But it's what I was talking about was a combination of the both, because when you do have a partnership, there is an ebb and flow. When I was in my relationship, one of the things that I never had to do, he always woke me up with coffee every single morning. I struggle waking up in the morning hard. I am not girl, I am not.
Ashley knows. I have to have
people
I have to have people call me to make sure I'm awake.
Dude, and same. So yeah, it's a thing, right? So, but that's what he did every single morning. He did make me a coffee.
You were
in
very
bed.
blessed that way. I only
Absolutely,
asked my
but that's
husband for 10 minutes. I asked my husband for 10 minutes a day just to make a cup of coffee for me, and he wouldn't do it.
And that's what it comes into. Again, we're vetting and we're taking a look at the process of like, he probably didn't align with you in the beginning. And you mentioned the love bombing and stuff. I got love bombed. I got cheated on. There's a lot. We all have different experiences, but those experiences teach us so that we don't fall for the same thing again. And Ashley, you and I have had a lot of conversation about this where it's like, we, even with relationships with women, not just men, but also in business, we learn from our experiences. So anytime now, when I go on a date and the guy is just saying how nice of a guy he is, and he's just such a nice guy, and he doesn't want to get played, I'm like, you're probably evil as hell, sir. Because you're not saying you're a good guy. You're not exemplifying you're a good guy. You're pretending you're like, you know what I mean? But I learned that stuff.
Well,
I'm just saying there's an ebb and flow for everything.
So, Minka, can I? Oh,
just
okay, you go.
jaded. Like we tend to get jaded after we've had some bad experiences. You know what I mean? And I think it's so interesting and very, very valuable to the conversation, Minka, to have you here, because you do bring a point of view that the rest of the ladies on the panel don't bring, which is that of a woman who has not been married or had children. And for that, I appreciate so much your. It really, it's a very valuable aspect of dating through the generations. And go ahead, Sarah. My bad.
So I wanted to clarify with
Hello?
my question.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I've been trying to talk for like a little bit, but
We
all
can
right,
hear
go
you,
ahead,
but
Sarah.
Sarah had a point to make, and she has.
Yeah, no,
Hold on, I'm just backing
This
it
is
up
you guys'
another
show.
notch.
I just wanted to make sure that you guys can hear me. Okay.
Yeah. So Minka, I think we were talking about the same thing, but in two different stages. So to me, I was understanding that Debbie was talking about dating a man, right? I just met him, and she said, if I can meet a man that can make his own appointments and do all of these things and yada yada yada, I'd be ecstatic, right? You along the lines are talking about like marriage material. You're already in the relationship, and he's doing all of these things for you, and you're doing all of those things, and so on and so forth. So what I was going for was, if I meet a man, based on Debbie, like if she meets a man. And that's why I'm saying, if I can do it, then you better be able to do it, because you're at the time, if I'm meeting him, like we're both supposed to be single, right? Self-sufficient, independent.
And I do agree with that. So if I'm dating a man and his teeth are rotting, I'm absolutely not going to end up with him. That's what it comes. And that's the part where King was saying it earlier. No one's coming to save you, man. So you have to take care of yourself. But that's, again, I've been working on myself to be the best version of myself that I can be for that kind of partner. So that's what I'm looking for. Someone that has been working on themselves to be that best version, so we can unite and do a whole little thing. But with dating, like I'm not gonna, and another thing that I know is I also learned how to treat people accordingly. So back in my day, I used to have people at my house. I used to have like Friendsgiving, cook big ass turkeys, all sorts of things. My house is your house. Now it's more of, I treat you the way that you treat me. So if you are respectful, kind, loving, I'm respectful, kind, loving. If you are like, you guys, the way that we met was you guys came at me and I came right back at you. But then we had a mutual respect, and then now we're all three of us are respectful towards each other. We back each other up, right? Right. So it's all a learning.
Yeah, that cup of coffee is very important in my life, just like yours. Without coffee, I can't function. But it's almost my bedtime. I just want to say one thing, and I'll say goodbye. I love all you guys, and that is the number one problem I saw with all the dates I've been on is that the men won't shut up. It's a very big narcissistic issue. I have left so many dates, and they don't even know my freaking name. They don't know what I do or my anything. They just don't want to shut up.
I know what you're talking
about. So Debbie, but before you go, and I'm definitely gonna check out your channel and subscribe. But so would you say that all the dates that you've been on, and then also you mentioned your marriage, would you say that maybe it's the men that you are vetting?
I don't bet every date I go on. Very rarely.
No, he said vet.
Oh, like vetting, like vetting, like filtering.
What was your question again?
Okay, so you mentioned, so I'm working my way backwards, right? So I'm going from the present to your past. So you said that the men that that you've currently have been dating, they talk too much or what have you, right? So these men, and like from what I've heard that you say, these men seem like they're pretty low quality men. Like you said, one gentleman had pajamas and things of that sort, or whatever. Anyway, long story short, my question to you is that do you think that it's the men that you are vetting, and then you also mentioned your late husband, may he rest in peace, regardless of how you feel about him? But would you say that it's something? Is it like the men that you are vetting? That's my overall question.
Kings, can I answer this right before Debbie does? Debbie, I want to tell you my point of view on this subject. And the reason I wanted you here tonight, Sarah's the one that found your content, and I fucking love it. But I think that just me personally, coming from the point of view of a 36-year-old divorcee with children, and then seeing Debbie's content, that of a 60-something woman who is in a different stage of her life, I could completely relate. And I think that there's no way. I just knew watching your content, Debbie, that there was no way that I could actually sit here and say like, oh, I know exactly how I'm going to feel at this point and stage in my life. No, I know that there's so much I could learn from you, Debbie, because I feel like you speak so much truth. You just tell it the way it fucking is. And I really appreciate that. And I
told you she's like the future you, Ashley.
I know.
Can we let Kings finish his point? Can we let Kings finish his point?
Match.com, and I am picking the guys that are mannerable on there and who are presenting themselves.
Don't worry about it, bro.
Profile.
Debbie, 1 second. Todd,
I
felt like Kings had finished his point. He stopped talking and then asked for Debbie to speak, and then I interrupted Debbie, actually. Was there another bit to that, Kings, that you didn't finish?
Well, yeah, so I was trying to have a quick dialogue with Debbie, and I know it's your show, so I don't want to intrude.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. I was trying to have a dialogue with Debbie, before she had dropped off. So my overall question was that the men that she has been dating currently, and then her late husband, because she, like she mentioned that basically all of these men are low quality men. So what I was saying was that, do you think that you have improperly vetted these men? That's really my question in a nutshell.
All right. Well, you're wrong. These were not low quality men. Some of them were very successful.
Well,
have addiction
it's
problems.
not about right or wrong. I'm just asking a question.
Just because they have addiction problems does not mean they're low quality. It just means that
Debbie, I think he's asking like how well are you vetting them out when you're
this
on the
isn't
dating
a right
side?
or wrong. I'm just asking about your vetting process.
Your process.
So it's not a right or wrong.
Okay. All right. Let me tell you. I would get hit up on Plenty of Fish and Match.com with about 35 dates a week. People were wanting to go out with me, at least 35 men out of 100 responses. I would choose the best out of that 35, the one that looked halfway decent, the one that had a good profile, the ones that could spell, the ones that were pretty close to me. It's these guys are like, it's just like they're heartbroken over their relationship, their life. They weren't very confident about themselves. I was picking the cream of the crop out of these dating sites, believe me, because I have high standards.
I'm not saying that you don't have high standards, but it doesn't coincide.
Can we all say that we just don't know what it's going to be like if we're in our 60s, close to 70s on a date?
No, I wouldn't say that.
I don't agree.
I don't know.
Nobody agrees. No one agrees.
No, I'm just
67 years old. We don't know what it's going to be like. We don't agree.
I don't agree.
I see that, but what I do understand from King's perspective is at that age, like you learn. That's the purpose of all of this. You're supposed to learn. Like I know that for a year.
You feel like Ninka that you know what you're gonna do if you're in Debbie's situation here at the age of 67.
I know that I'm 31. So if in the next 2 years I don't find a man, I'm gonna have to lower some standards. I know that. I do believe that because I don't want to be alone for the rest of my 40s. But it's also
Debbie.
But let me. Can I finish this, Sarah? Ashley, let me finish. No, let me finish this portion because what you're making it sound like is like
no, Minka. Let me finish.
Give me the opportunity. Just give me the opportunity.
I will, Debbie. I'm just saying. I feel you, dog. I feel you. That's all I wanted to say, Minka. Go for it.
So because it's making it sound like I'm against Debbie, and that's not the case at all. What I'm saying is it's also a difference in backgrounds, a difference in experience, a difference. Debbie, how long were you married for?
40 years.
Debbie has been married
I
for
have 2
40
children.
years. That's my point.
married
There's a
40,
total-
40.
I was
I
married
know.
for 12.
But that's
How
what I'm
long were
trying
you
to
married,
say.
Minka?
That's what can you let me finish? Because I'm trying to get the point across,
If
but
you
I don't
quit, if
I'm
you
not
quit trying to blanket.
I'm
everything.
not trying to blanket it, and I'm not
All
trying
right,
to
all
attack
right.
anyone.
Hold on,
I'm
let her-
trying to
let her
have an
finish.
explanation. Okay.
Let her finish,
so
Ashley.
Because
All right.
because Debbie, you have been married for 40 years. I've been single for 15, or I've been dating since I was 19 years old. So I have the experience from 19 to 31 to pick out what a narcissist looks like, to love bombing, the nice guy, all these different experiences. Where you were married for 40 years, that's why you have less experience in that, and you're going to gain more experience by dating all of these different types of people. That's why I was trying to say
And
it
you
is
are
and it isn't.
exactly right.
That's all I was, because I didn't want it to
I had
sound like
no
I was
idea
being
what was
disrespectful
out
towards
there.
you.
You know what I also wonder?
I had no
because
idea what
if-
dating was.
I can't imagine going through that, because the
It's-
shock of having that safety and then going into everything that's out here is like, my hairs are like
my
standing
daughter,
up because
my
I'm like,
daughter
I
is
can't imagine.
48 years old.
I
My-
have
I have
to
a
say, I
daughter
actually
who's
love
4 years old.
Minka, and I invited her here tonight. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
no, we get along. So like that's why I was trying to explain this portion, because the guys, I feel like I understand the notion you were trying to prove, but we're also forgetting that she had all that period of time that she was married, so she didn't get the same experience that many of us did in the dating world. That's what makes it such a unique and different.
Well, we were
I
high
feel
school
you.
sweethearts. We were high
Oh,
school
Debbie-
that
sweethearts,
makes-
and I still love my
So-
husband dearly. But my
Let me-
daughter, who's never been married and never had children, she's 48 years old. She warned me what it was like out there, and I thought she was nuts. She says, "Debbie, Mom, date's a numbers game." I go, "What do you mean a numbers game?"
I'm sorry.
You know, I also wonder because, like, for going on the other side of it, like going on the male perspective at 70, 60 years old, you know, these guys are showing up in Crocs and pajamas. I mean, if I was 70 years old, like, I wouldn't give a fuck either. Like, I'm going to show up in whatever I want to show up in,
Did I?
you know?
And I wanted to ask King, like, did that make sense? Was that your question? Because that's what I was trying to like piggyback off of your question.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, because I mean, my whole thing was that because there was a trajectory of what Debbie was saying from her marriage into what her current dating status is now. And then Debbie also had mentioned that, you know, like her husband didn't appreciate her and, you know, treated her as a slave. So you said that you've been married to this man for 40 years, and I get that you guys are high school sweethearts, right? But
real
it's like,
quick, I have to address this comment by Aerodynamic, and I love Aero. He's one of my mods, but no, Minka's not about to hit the wall. Minka's just now 31 years old, and she can very, very physically and medically have very healthy babies for many years. Let's not spread this rhetoric, please.
I
It's
also,
a very
I also
big
get
thing.
women should get
I'm so-
yearly checkups, because that's how you can see how fertile
Exactly.
you are.
Blood work.
King, what were you?
I'm sorry.
What were you
Go
thinking?
yeah,
That's
so
just- it's a very, very point for me.
Ashley, just really quick, like if someone is saying like comments that you don't agree with, don't even worry about that, because
I will worry about it. And I
Wait,
do.
no, hold on. Respectfully,
No, I won't.
the most
I just
important
know
thing is
I'm
the
a
panel.
pyro.
I get it, but the most
I'll
important
never
thing,
change. No,
I love you too, man. The most important thing are the people on the panel.
no, they're
So
not.
the thing is,
Not-
you're right. So what I was saying
No,
was
it's my
um,
show, and I enjoy challenging my audience. But I love you, Kings. Go ahead.
yeah, no. And again, I love you too. So what I'm saying is, Debbie, was that man, these guys are funny in here. But anyway, so the thing is that like with Debbie, you were saying that you know, you were married for 40 years, and you said that your late husband, you know, treated you poorly. And then you talk about the men that that you've been on dates with, like they seem as though low quality men. So what I'm saying is that I'm seeing a trajectory. So my question to you was that, you know, do you think that you are properly vetting these men? It wasn't a yes or no or right or wrong. It was more or less, do you
I don't
think
know.
that
Are
you
you
are properly
saying
vetting
vetting?
these men? Yes,
I
vetting.
don't
Vetting,
understand your
like
word
filter,
vetting.
Like
What
like
does that
like
mean?
Like
like
vetting with a
evaluating, like
V,
evaluating, like a certain like
filtering
vetting
them out,
and yeah.
right.
vetting, like to vet
Yes, I
someone.
evaluate them because why would I want somebody in my life that I didn't like?
I mean,
Well, I think in every situation when we first meet someone, we meet their representative. We don't meet who they truly are. And I think that that's on purpose, especially if we're using social media apps, Tinder, what have you. No one wants to tell you no one wants to show you really who they are. And for most men
Right.
who are quote unquote vulnerable, women don't want to, I mean, they don't want to be with a man who is showing their vulnerability at the beginning anyway. And as an example of this. But you know, I certainly understand what Mika and King are saying. It becomes very challenging sometimes to really truly find out who someone is when you're first dating. And this is why I was asking, going through the question earlier, and Ryan kind of chimed in with me, is that it really depends on what the ultimate goal is when we're going into these dating situations, right? Now, you know, I don't know if this is true, but I have a sense, Debbie, that you're angry. And I understand that after 40 years of your life with someone, if it did not end well, I could understand why a person would be angry, but I can also understand why that would have some level of have some impact on decision making when it comes to dating as well. I totally get it, and I understand it. And you know, I want to commend you for your courage, because it takes a lot of courage for you to be transparent on your site and to say these kinds of things. And I really truly you know, respect that. You know, and so I understand that there possibly is anger and even some grieving for a 40-year relationship
Well,
that didn't work
no,
as
I'm
well as you wanted
angry
to.
because my husband was in a bearded relationship. Do you know what that means?
No, I
He
don't,
was
but I understand
hiding
your anger.
behind a straight life. He
Okay,
was hiding behind a straight life. When he was
I understand the anger.
straight,
I
he
understand
was
it. I
like
get
that.
it.
Can I actually, Kings? I kind of have a slight challenge here. Not, I do agree with you in terms of the like, is she vetting them out? Because obviously, when she's meeting them, you know, like she's got a lot of kind of goofy guys showing up in an aspect. But my thought though is, you know, not everybody can be not everybody can be genuine through the internet, through these dating sites. They can put whatever picture they want. They can even have somebody else telling them what to say. Somebody else put their profile together. You know, there's actually like dating app site, consultants who will put your stuff together for you if you want. But my thought is, she's not going on second dates with these guys. She's not even sticking around for 10 minutes. She's immediately leaving. So she is vetting. And it does show that she has a very good sense of what's right and not right in that aspect based on, so she thought they were the cream of the crop on the internet, which anybody here could be the cream of the crop in that aspect. And we could be total catfishing. But once she goes on that first date, it's either like, oh, hell no, or okay, let's talk some more. So I understand your question and why you're asking her, like, are you vetting them out properly? Are you really like doing your job on that aspect? But you have to give the internet the benefit of you have to give her the benefit of the doubt due to the internet and catfishing and these dating sites.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I
But
was
she is vetting.
engaged twice. I was engaged twice after my marriage ended, but then I found out that each of them had substance abuse problems, and I immediately cut it off.
right.
And because I didn't want to deal with that.
Right. So Sarah, so the thing about it is that, like, I understand what you're saying. So when she goes out on the date and, well, actually, let me start that over. So it's not necessarily a challenge of right or wrong. My question is just a general question. So there's no right or wrong or disagreement here. What I will say is that when when Debbie is going on these dates with these guys, I get it. She cuts them off after one date, right? But why, like, is there some sort of dialogue before the date to understand, to vet who these gentlemen are? And again, you're right about that. Social media and things of that sort, people will put a facade, and even before social media, people will put a facade.
Well,
But the
you're
thing
right.
is
I
that
didn't have a
Oh,
dialogue with these guys. I did not get
okay.
on the phone with these guys because every time I ever gave them my number before the date, they would talk to me for over an hour, but they would never let me get a word in edgewise. Why would I want to? That's why I would never have a dialogue
So
before the date.
so respectfully, Debbie, there has to be some accountability on you, because if you know
Mhm.
that these gentlemen are talking for an hour or so to speak, why would you want to meet up with them?
I
And
didn't.
Right.
I didn't.
okay,
I
so
would
so so
block them.
then okay, so then you move on from there, right? So
Yeah.
so
So I
so then you
learned
move
not
on from
to
there.
go. I learned not to give a guy my phone number because every time either they wouldn't talk at all or they would never let me get a word in edgewise. So I would just go on the date cold. And
Okay.
yeah, so I would go on the date cold. But
What do you mean by you would go on a date cold? Do you mean like you would stand them up, or you would just
no,
cancel the date?
I never stood anybody. No, what I meant is I never gave a guy the opportunity to talk to me before the date because 99% of the time they would talk for an hour and never let me talk. So I have to meet people in person to get a feel for them. I'm one of these. I'm a Pisces. I'm a type A person. I can look right at you at a dinner table to know if there's chemistry. You can't do that over a telephone.
So you like in person?
So
Yeah.
why not? Okay, so why not have like okay, so I'm not sure what apps you're using, but why not, like video chat on the app, like not even giving them your telephone number? Long story short,
I never
my
did
whole
that.
thing is okay, so my whole okay, listen, so I don't want to get too long-winded here. Let me just drive my point home. My thing is that, the vetting process. I would just say, from what I'm hearing, it just seems that it may need to be fine-tuned. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I believe that your vetting process needs to be fine-tuned. And me, I'm not the type of person to mince words, but I will be respectful and transparent.
Well, the thing of it is, the reason why I never did the video dating is because I like to smell the guy. I like to see how he's dressed. I like to see how he acts in a public atmosphere. That is not possible over a video chat.
Fair enough.
Well, so I can actually agree with Kings on this one, Debbie, because I'm the same way. I love more like in-person, physical touch, scent, pheromones, all of those things. However, the thing of it is I have talked to guys on the dating site, and then as soon as they start, like I always talk to them on the phone first and make sure that they can have a conversation, that they can, speak clearly. And it also helps to make sure, their profile matches their, like who they really are as well. So I will 100% agree with Kings. Like a phone you can use on the dating apps. A lot of them offer like FaceTime type of video within the app.
When I was on the dating sites, they didn't have that option.
Well,
I'm
now
going
they
back
do.
14 years.
Well,
They didn't
right.
have that
I mean, but they do now. So, in the dating world now, you can do things like that. But I mean, but this is also going to help you save your time, because if a guy starts talking to you on the
I'm
phone,
not dating anymore. I gave it up. I give. I like my life the way it is right now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that instance, though, in your prior dating years, if you're saying that, you didn't want to give a guy your number because they would sit there and talk to you and talk for like hours straight. Well, I mean, at what point, like within the first half hour, if they're doing all the talking, do you just say, you know, I don't think this is gonna roll, like, let me hang up?
Yeah, and I would
Or
hang up.
right, but I mean, so these other guys who would show up to the dates where you just met them out, you know, maybe giving them that 30-minute ability to at least, you know, at least try to show who they are, or you know, give them that that opportunity to show if they're interested
Well,
in you or just interested in hearing themselves talk.
I think over half my dates, they would take their picture so far away for their profile shot. Some of them had a big wart between their eyes. One of them didn't even have an eye. He was blind. One guy gained 200 pounds. Okay, that's why I like to meet the guys in person, because then you get to see the real thing. Can you imagine?
Hey,
how
Sarah, I got a
shocked
solution
I
for all
was
this.
when I saw the guy and he weighed 200 more pounds than his profile picture?
Debbie, you
Which
just
is
need to get on a
awesome.
30-minute
Lie
call
about
with
the age.
John Anthony Lifestyle. Yeah, seriously, 30-minute call and everything will be fixed. In all seriousness, you should come to the Playing with Fire channel, because there's a bunch of zingers that I would have thrown in there on some of your dates. Like, if a guy's talking for 30 minutes straight nonstop, I would have just said, you know what? It's just too bad you don't talk much, because I wish I had someone who's more social.
For a 30-minute call, I'll get you laid tonight, bro.
Yeah.
30-minute
And number
call.
3 is, you said YouTube saved your life. If I was you, I would make this into just a comedy sketch on YouTube, and that way you're basically having fun for all this.
No, YouTube saved my life.
Yeah, this would be hilarious just to go over these dates on like YouTube. I mean, it would just be awesome content,
Seriously.
and that way it wouldn't be as frustrating.
That's why I make a
the
lot
worst-
of money on YouTube talking about these.
Yeah,
things.
the worse the date, the more action you get on YouTube. So I mean, I would just kind of like maybe think about doing that, because these are just phenomenal. I mean, you got some good stuff here.
I think that, you know, for me, in today's age, dating is more like a job interview. That
Good
you,
night.
and when we talk about,
Bye-bye.
and we
Bye,
talk
Debbie.
Bye,
Thanks for
Debbie. It
being
was really nice
on.
meeting you.
Bye-bye.
You know,
Thanks, Debbie.
You're amazing. Thank you for joining us. And Sarah and I would love to come on your stream sometime. Like, honestly, we are huge fans. Huge fans.
Bye-bye.
Love
Thank
you.
you. Bless you
Good
all.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
because I think that everything in this world is based on commerce. And when I say commerce, I'm not talking about buying and selling in dollars and cents. I'm simply talking about satisfying needs and wants based on, satisfying needs and wants based on, what people are looking for. And so I think dating is a way of basically doing job interviews in terms of building a relationship.
Well, and that goes back to, Todd, a debate I had the other night about is marriage a business contract?
Yes, it is. Yes, it absolutely is. And so, I mean, you can call it, a marriage contract. The truth of the matter is that it is a marriage contract, because if there's a divorce, the state's going to come in and they're going to tell you what their prenuptial agreement is. And so it is a marriage contract. And so everything is really based in commerce in a sense, because if women are talking about they want to be supported, they're not talking about just being supported emotionally. They're also talking about being supported financially, because there is no romance without finance, right?
Say that.
And so a man does have to be in some way, shape, or form a provider. If he's not the provider, then I think inherently he's not held in as high esteem as if he is the provider and the protector of the home. I mean, at the end of the day, if the man is to be the protector and to keep the wolves away from the home, it also means financial concerns as well, right? Because, a woman does not want to be with a man who doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, because they don't feel secure with that. And there are enough options out there for women because it's a highly competitive world. There are more men in the world than there are women.
That and well, yes, that. And that also alludes into there are a lot more options, but also just inherently, as you said, genetically speaking, women have, even if that weren't true, the number of men versus women, I think that women do have more options than men do. I do. Despite numbers, I think it goes deeper into that. Despite numbers, does that make sense?
It does, but and I think that it goes to the mentality that Keegan and I were talking about earlier as well. That even though that there are more men, right, available for women, there are not more of the type of men that we're talking about that's available, because the type of men that we're talking about are in high demand.
Right. Absolutely. And I completely agree with that. Yeah, so it is about 12:30 a.m. here, but so I'm gonna close out, but this was a great panel. Ashley, I appreciate you bringing me on this panel.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Is it Cougs? I'm sorry, is your name Cougs? Did I say that right?
Yeah, Cougs.
Oh, Cougs. Yeah, man. Nice meeting you, Ryan.
Yeah, you too, man.
Minka, Sarah. Obviously, I know who you guys are. Todd, my guy. But man, this was a great conversation, man. Great conversation, great topic.
Thank you so much for joining.
Oh,
Thank
absolutely, absolutely, man, absolutely. And
I love
definitely,
your input. I think you're so fucking based. I love your input. I really appreciate it. Every time that I've talked to you, I learned something.
Thank you. Man. If you don't stand on your square, you're gonna become a circle, and I'm not. But the thing is,
I love it. I fucking love it.
Absolutely, and definitely make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel. That's Kings and Dreams, KING, the letter Z, and Dreams with a Z on YouTube and Instagram. I definitely appreciate that. No, I won't have weird dreams, man, because
Kings is tagged in the description of this video. Yes.
Ah, man, definitely make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel. Please. It's official. I'm monetized, so man, it's gonna be crazy.
Awesome.
Let me borrow $1, bro. Let me borrow $1.
They have no idea what's in store. They have no idea what's in store, man.
That's a big deal. Good job, man. All right, good night.
Thank you. Have a good night. I appreciate you all. Talk to you all soon.
I'm going to sign out as well.
Bye, Kings.
All right, good night. Bye.
Hey, Sarah, check the DM, please. Thank you.
I saw it. I'll hit you.
I'm going to sign out as well because it's 11:39.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, well, I'm in Colombia, South America right now, and my wife. I told my wife I had to do the live, but I'm going to make sure that I kiss her goodnight before she goes to sleep. So I really appreciate you all. Please follow my channel. It's Infinite Growth TV. And
do you mind dropping the link?
Yeah, please. I'd like to tag that in my description as well.
Yeah, let me see if I. Let me see if I can do that. And
you can just drop it in the chat. I will add it to the description after we get done. And yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.
And I really appreciate everyone on the panel. And I understand that sometimes we may not agree, but I think as long as we have respect for one another, I think that that's how we grow. And I would like to invite each and every one of you to reach out to me, to contact me. I'd love to have you as a guest on my show as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great meeting you, Todd.
It's nice meeting each and every one of you.
You're really great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad. I'm glad we met.
Thank you so much. And peace and
Todd,
blessings.
I would say you're a very wise man, and you'd be one that I would follow.
Well, my grandmother taught me well, and she said it's better to have a hard. It's not better to have a hard head and a soft behind. So I appreciate the the wisdom of my grandmother. But thank you all so much, very much, and I appreciate you. And be blessed. Thank you so much.
All right, good night. Good night.
Good night.
Ashley, it's funny the diversity we've had, like the different generations and everything.
Yeah.
I think the thing that blows me
great job.
is Debbie, who's almost 70. I mean, she's having.
Hold on, Cougs. I want to give credit to Sarah. This was Sarah's idea. Sarah's panel.
Sarah, good job. Yeah, no, I love it. I was so excited when I saw that, and Sarah did message me, so I kind of figured she was involved in the idea. So
he was,
and it's really
behind it.
Well, it's just, I mean, even though I'm not surprised, I still kind of was blown away that I think the most challenging person today was Debbie, the oldest one, because even the guys that are close to her age are just as crazy as I mean, we're all crazy in some way, but I mean, it's kind of like, not to be at her expense, but it's just kind of nice to know that we're not the only ones that are like struggling meeting people that are just nuts, right? It can be frustrating, but I just like to kind of laugh about it at times, you know.
I
Yeah.
just thought it was a really, really unique angle that you had at
Yes.
different generations, different backgrounds, different
Good job,
everything.
Sarah.
And like, yeah,
job.
it was
Thanks.
just-
I'm mad.
fucking
I'm
job.
mad we couldn't get the video rolling because I worked so hard on that one.
No, we'll play it later. Oh, actually, I can play it now. So you guys talk, and I can play it. And because my laptop's finally.
Oh,
Sarah and I have had it's a long story. Blah blah blah. Things will get better, but we've both had technical issues.
it's learning.
A minute.
Dang, that was awesome.
Are you rolling too, Minka?
I do, yeah. So it's Sunday night. It's a work night. I'm prepared for Mondays on Sunday nights. So I gotta finish up and head out. But I don't want to leave when Ashley's like not facing. I want to say bye to everyone. No, but I thought this was a really cool panel, and I like the way that you guys structured it, and I like the very different ideas. And it's what I always like to say is that like it's whatever your preference is. Like I'm not, and that's what I was trying to talk. I know that how it came off sounding like I was against Debbie, but I was just trying to clarify. Like she had a really big gap. Where I have
I agree.
experience in spotting those things. It took me this long to figure that out, you know?
Right.
So it's just very different. Very, very different.
Well, and I also
Interesting.
think that when you're coming back into the game, you're learning the game in a different world, in a whole different society, you know, and you're learning how to date almost all over again. And the fact that they were high school sweethearts, you know,
Yeah.
like they were dating and you know, lovey-dovey at a very young age, where I feel like it's a lot easier when you're in high school, you know, to just be cute and coy and lovey-dovey and things like that, because the real world hasn't hit you quite yet. You don't have the stress factors of, you know, working a job or finishing your education or caring for a family. You know, whereas somebody in my position, like I'm already like, I don't even want to date because number one, I don't have a purpose, you know, and this is why I respect Todd and what he was saying. He was saying like dating with a purpose almost. And I don't have that purpose yet. I don't have that intention. I don't have the I could just date for whatever, you know, for ass or companionship, but is it a purpose?
But that's the part
Sarah's
where
wig towel.
So for a minute I was still not ready to like date seriously, and I got that backlash from a lot of people that like, well, what's your purpose? I'm like, I'm just, if I found one I would have settled down, but I hadn't. Now I am dating with a purpose. Now I'm not, you don't see me going
All
out
right,
as much.
the
You don't see
video's
me out
ready.
as-
The video's ready.
Right.
I do
Oh,
have to head
snap.
out.
Oh shit.
Minka's rolling out. She wants to say goodbye real quick now
All
that
right,
you're
good
back
night,
on.
Mika.
I didn't want to head out before you came back so I could say goodnight. And
Sorry.
thank you guys so much. You did a really good job. I'm really,
Like my
really
strap.
stoked for you ladies.
It was good talking to you again.
What the fuck
My-
are you?
My claws.
What?
Oh my god. I love you guys. I hope you have a
Claw
good night.
Maxine. We love you,
Bye.
Minka.
Claw
Thanks for
Maxine.
coming on. We appreciate it.
Always here to support
Love you,
guys.
Mika. Love you so much.
Bye.
Mwah. Good night.
And then there were two.
And then there were two, and it was
I always feel like
Coops
it's
and
the-
Riot.
I always feel like it's like the Brady Bunch when it gets up to that many.
I
you
know,
and
right?
I feel like we should be looking left and right and up and down and singing a song.
Seriously. All right. I'm sorry, Sarah. Like, it was honestly my fucking, like, it was bad. It was
It's
bad.
good. Yeah, I know I'm divided
Bad
down
equals
too.
good
So.
every day. Every fucking day. Here we go. Let me make sure I mute myself because you know how that goes.
It should be that little the box in your bottom taskbar to the far right, the blue one with the white triangle. That should be the one right there.
Dating can be tough at any age.
What would you say would be the best tips for dating in your 20s?
Okay, so welcome to the decade of mistakes and growing pains.
Why you should stay single in your 20s. Men in their 20s fucking get shit done.
I don't remember.
Buffering. Buffering. Buffering.
Tips for dating in your 20s.
Okay, so welcome to the decade of mistakes and growing pains.
Why you should stay single in your 20s. Men in their 20s fucking get shit done.
I don't remember dating in my 20s because I was drunk my entire 20s.
You believe you're better, more of a catch in your 30s than you were in your 20s.
30s is a time when you're starting to get this adulting thing down pat.
A man actually becomes more attractive to women as he ages.
How do you date in this new era? I feel like I fell asleep and woke up and all of the dating was different.
And when you haven't dated in 10 years, dating is way different at 44 than it is at 30.
Yeah, sex after 60 sucks because you would think the guys my age would know what to do. Well, let me tell you, they don't.
After going through the stress of a divorce, dating may be the very last thing in your mind, especially if kids are involved.
When they get divorced, they're not just losing a partner, they're not losing a dream, they're not losing a future. They're also dealing with lost trust in themselves.
Divorce freaking sucks. She will not date a man with children because she feels that she won't get the attention that she needs, desires, and deserves.
Women with kids, guys, you don't have to give them a lot of your non-sexual attention. If you're looking for a wife, hell no, you don't want to fuck none of these bitches. They already got baggage.
Dating women with children. I really don't want to be second fiddle to anything or anyone. Why don't you have kids yet? As if something is wrong with you.
A lot of guys are telling me they don't like dating women with children. They don't want to have to, accept your child or your kids along with you.
This is very interesting.
Yes, that was Grace. That was Debbie in that video. That's how I found her, was me looking for stuff to put in this, and I came across her stuff, and I thought it was just so freaking hilarious that I felt the need to have her on. The song that was like on CapCut. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was like called the Evil Dance or Evil. If you're talking about the last one in there.
Oh, I'm gonna respond to Grace saying I'm just trying to be nice at this point. No, I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling. Okay, it's nice to be on panels where people aren't screaming at me. Okay, I'm just listening to everyone, and it was great listening to all these different experiences that all these different people have that are very different from my own experiences, and it was cool, and I had a lot of fun. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
we saw Ryan get passionate the other day.
I do that sometimes.
Ryan likes to get passionate.
Facts.
Just saying.
Milkers.
Oh, my milkers. Can we just stop about the milkers, guys? Yes, I have milkers. It's fine.
Ryan,
the milkers are fine.
Ryan, it being that you're young and single, would you ever date a single mom?
Probably. Yeah, I think I would.
Now, would you feel like you were kind of second priority to anything, or like she couldn't have time to do a whole lot, so you get like a Tuesday night 3-hour time slot?
Well, I guess I mean the way I think about it, like from what I saw in my own life, like my parents were divorced when I was pretty young, but they both remarried when I was pretty young as well. So like they were dating like these other people, and I don't know. Like for me, it was like I feel like a lot of people think back to a familial divorce as like a moment where their family breaks apart, and it's like a big problem with being broken apart. For me, it was like my family kind of expanded at that moment, like where I got my stepbrother who we were very young, so like he's just my brother at this point. We're the same age, and like my family just like I just had so much more support through this. So like I can imagine like whether or not like bringing people together who have those histories like can be like a really positive experience, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
You bring a very valuable perspective to the panel, and I really appreciate you coming on tonight. We do. Sarah and I really appreciate that. Cooks, you bring such a valuable. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, there's a lot of questions. I think the panel was pretty big, and I mean, I kind of prepared some bombs to ask, but then it got, especially with Debbie, it just got to the point where, I just didn't want to ask some of those at that point, just some questions.
I think Debbie's pretty fucking cool though. She'll answer anything.
Yeah. No, I think that she was just frustrated, right? And so I think this, vent a little bit right now.
I thought it was. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I thought it was really interesting that her story about her husband being like a closeted gay man. I think that's probably like, especially with her generation, it's probably like a not uncommon experience because of how. And I think it kind of speaks a little bit to what I was getting at earlier about people being like pushed into roles that they don't want to be in. Like right by like social norms that expect that of them. Yeah. Like he probably like, I mean, you described it as like having a beard. I think is one of the terms for this. It's like it's because society described it. Yeah. Society like really expects men to have this very traditional structure where they're not only married to a woman, but they're fulfilling a specific role in their relationship with that woman. And like, how does that apply to a gay man? Right. And especially in a society where gay marriage just got legalized like a few years ago. I think it's really interesting. And there's probably a lot of people who can relate to that. I don't know. That was cool.
What a great panel. What a fun topic. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashley and Sarah.
No,
and
really,
Coops.
thank you. Like I love talking about this stuff, and I love really trying to get down to the nitty gritty of it. And you guys are great. Like, thanks, Cougs, so much for coming on.
I think we should do this more. I think that this topic should be visited more. I think that we just scratched the surface, like literally.
Yeah, I think I have a lot more to say. I agree.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Maybe we need to do a part 2.
Yeah, part 2. Or if Cougs or Ryan, you guys have better suggestions of the way to move about this, for the future, I would love to hear that. Sarah would love to hear that. This was all Sarah's idea, and I loved it. I was like, you know what? Let's do this. This is great. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, please, if you guys are down, let's do this again. And if you have different ideas of how we should go about it, Sarah and I are totally game. This was so much fun to do. It was so much fun. And we had a lot of interest.
Especially the online dating, because I think, Ashley, you were even talking recently, because when you first came on Playing with Fire and we were evaluating, you were dating like crazy on Tinder. And it was just so much content. That's kind of why I had my idea for Debbie, because I was like, Ashley didn't even go half there, and it was just so much content. So good shit. And but then again, I was thinking, I didn't know how the direction of the conversation would go. So I was kind of thinking,
you never kind of do on here.
No. And if you look back even to the 90s when it started, when there was chat rooms, like I thought we were going to get into that. Because was it, my question is, was it ever a positive experience overall? Like online dating, has it ever really been that good? Like, was there ever a glory days? Because I don't think it was. Catfishing started, there was a different name for it. It wasn't called catfishing, but that was rampant back in the day. And it's still
incredibly valid. That's such a base idea or topic or whatever. Ryan loves the word based, by the way. Based.
I do. Yeah, it's the opposite of cringe. It's my favorite.
I always say that. I'm like, that was so based.
Super based.
Exactly.
No, Cougs, you're totally right. Like, I think oh my God, that's such a good point of view. It really is.
Yeah, if everybody thought back and maybe took their 3 best or relationships or even potential, like, you know, obviously not, there are things go bad, but if you take the best parts of it, I mean, there's no way I've met anybody online that could even compete with the 3 people I met in person if I took the top 3. I mean,
Yes,
for me,
absolutely.
it's all the quality.
Ben, you're not wrong. I have a wide variety of types, Ben. I'm very open-minded.
People want to know.
I know.
Ryan.
Yeah. Well, stick around.
All
Make
right,
sure
all
to
right.
subscribe to Radical Coder so you can find out, and Ashley XO as well.
Ashley XOXO and Radical Coder and Kooks. You don't have content yet, right? But you're gonna.
Yeah. It's tough for me because, I mean, we have a stupid, you know, with my job, we have a stupid policy on you have to get permission to even start a channel, which I totally disagree with. And it's just, it's something I just haven't got around.
Like, every time I've seen you on a panel, you are so fucking just spot on. I fucking love what you have to say. I always agree with you. I haven't disagreed with you yet. So,
We talking about me?
yes.
Oh yeah. Well, every day's a panel, like at work or just in life. I mean,
Every
I'm
day is
always
a panel. I love that. Every day is a panel.
Facts.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why it's almost tough to even do something online just because I have to deal with all the real life, you know, BS.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good
You know what? I
night.
just thought of something real quick. Like all of the Thorpes are probably each sitting in their own rooms right now watching us because they're all on. I know Mom was on here. I don't know if she's still on there, but I think that's hilarious.
Was Mom on
Like,
here?
Yeah, they were all
Yeah,
here.
she
Well,
was
at
on
least the
earlier.
three.
Mom on
It was
here?
like a-
Mom hates me.
It's like a
Mom
it's
hates
like a family of-
Ashley. She hates
like
me,
a
Sarah.
family affair.
She hates me. You're just gonna
I don't
have
think she
to
hates you.
win her over for me, cause like she fucking hates me. Summit Paul loves Radical
Yes.
Radical Coder.
I love
He
you
loves-
too, Summit Paul.
And then Coog, you downplay your success. All right. No, Mom hates me. Stop. Mom hates me, and I know she hates me.
Wait, why does she hate you?
She wants me to admit that I'm mad at her and I hate her. And I won't do it.
Are you mad at her? Do you hate her?
I don't hate her and I'm not mad at her, and she hates that I won't hate her. That's what. It's weird.
And just to
I don't know.
clarify, Ashley is very, very good at telling the world if she does hate somebody.
Thank
so
you.
if she doesn't
I
say
will
it,
tell you.
it's because she doesn't mean it. Like
Mm-hmm.
JAL, like
Ryan, I
everybody
think
knows
you
how
might
Ashley
should
feels
know.
about JAL.
Coach White Pill.
Right. KRW.
Coach White.
But why? It's so weird because Ashley's like enemies are my enemies online too. It's just really weird. I mean, John Anthony blocked me for like one comment, and I totally took it easy on him. He blocked it one comment. It was, "Will you debate KRW?" Blocked. And
You're
Coach
the
White
same
Pill.
person, Coogs. Like
know these
Coogs
characters.
is my male counterpart. Like he and I are the
Yes,
same person.
I agree with that.
Seriously.
All right, King.
Yes.
Yeah, I can get it. I can get intense at times, and like people have kind of called me out a little bit recently. Just like, why am I so, you know, why do I get so bent out of shape with some of these people? And my point is, when have you ever like seen me go after somebody, just a normal dude or a normal chick, you know, or a normal person? I mean, it's always people that are doing damage. They're doing usually they're doing damage to people in society, and then I
That
just
is
get
how
like.
that is how Coogs and I became one.
I relate to that a lot.
It's a justice curse. My mom told us a long time we're a high justice family, and that's a very painful position in life to be because there is no justice. And so
There is no justice ever. All
There
right.
really
I love
isn't.
you guys. Good night.
Love you. Thank you so much.
Good
I'll see you
night,
soon.
everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Good
Have a
night,
good night.
everyone.
Good
See ya.
night.